You can start anytime.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 302nd episode of the Geek First Podcast.
302.
Ew.
I am the stuntman, Travis Snell.
Oh, God, what am I? I'm just Adam Harcaster today.
I am the bride, Kirkland Patzer.
Good one.
Boom. Sorry. Big frog in the throat. This is a Geek First episode, but at the same time, we are closing out our Tarantino retrospective. Thank you very much for everyone that checked out the review. Did really good numbers, so thank you for that. Thank you to everyone that's interacted with us. Clay.
Yeah, shout out to Clay.
Shouts out to Clay.
Has some good content.
We always like chatting with you.
So. Yeah. So go back and check out every movie we've done. We've reviewed every single Tarantino movie now. We've completed the 9 or 10, depending who you ask. And then what we're going to be doing now is a ranking special. That's kind of how we end retros, take it to the back of the barn, put a bullet in its head, and move on to the next one.
Jesus.
Very graphic.
For anything else you want to check out on the stream or the feed, just subscribe. I got Hobbs Shaw review coming out. We got, what else is dropping first? Batman Fancast will be in 2 weeks. That's on Patreon.
Let's go.
If you go to our Twitter and Facebook, soon I'll be revealing the roster of the people we drafted. And I always throw that out there and say, who would you cast? You definitely want to check out that cast because I'm not going to hint at who it is, but Taylor has maybe the most wildest pick I've ever heard in my life for any fan cast. So
Craziness.
there's just, what else?
It's funny because we just posted something on our Facebook page with all of our cast recently.
Yeah.
And someone's like, oh, Taylor, this is your best list so far. So when they see his new one, they're going to be like, I'm going to retract that comment.
yeah, Kirkland, the fans thought you had the best superhero draft.
Yes,
I
solid
saw that.
margin, too.
It was like a comeback, too, because I checked it once, and I think I was in second
I
or
never
third
saw
place.
myself in the lead, but I saw you guys comment about it.
You were in the
I had a
lead,
whole
yeah.
5 votes, so fuck all you Facebook people. I love you, but no support just because I pick indie people. Whatever. John Cena's going to get cast.
The people love me.
I voted for you, and I meant it. I didn't just
you.
do it as a sympathy.
I voted for myself because I deserved it, clearly. It's shown, too.
You voted for
Fans
yourself?
loved it.
I thought that was against GB rules.
I don't know if I did.
Kirkland's a rule breaker. Just like
It's in the Accords.
maybe just like some of the characters we're going to be talking about
Hey-o.
today. Because the 4 things we are doing, we are going to be ranking 10 characters. We're each individually going to reveal our 10 top favorite characters. Then our 5 favorite scenes from every Quentin Tarantino
Oh, we're doing
movie.
5?
Do we do 5 or 10?
I have 10, but I
have 5.
Okay, that's fine. 5's good. 5's good.
Yeah,
I'll have to pick my favorite 5.
I thought we decided on that because we said we didn't do. We did 5 only for MCU, and that was 22 movies.
That's true, but I just thought Tarantino is such a master of.
Kevin Feige's not a master.
No, well.
Oh, come on.
No, it's fine.
You hear this shit? Wow.
The reason I bring this up because I had roughly 12, and I didn't have any of them ordered. So now I'm gonna have to decide on the spot which ones are gonna make it in my top 5. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited.
Then we are going to rank all 9/10 of the movies in our least favorite, and then we're gonna do a kind of dream roster for the last Tarantino movie.
Quote unquote.
We're picking 5 actors or actresses that have been in movies previously, and then 5 that have never been touched by Tarantino. So
that could be taken the wrong way.
Oh yeah. So who wants to kick off with the characters?
I'll kick us off.
Ayo.
I don't know. Kirkland's giving some weird faces over there. So
That's all I do.
Okay.
So, if you haven't been joining us the whole time, we've obviously blasted through all these movies. A couple of them, I've only seen Jackie Brown once, and obviously the new one, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I've only seen that once as well. So that's definitely I think the hardest part about making these lists is that Tarantino just rewards rewatches so much. So judging some of these things off for one watch is tricky, but you still got to get some representation all around. So I think for me, when I was making this,
do you have a Jackie Brown character in your top 10?
No.
Okay, so not you no representation all around.
No. Let's be honest. Jackie Brown is only on one of my lists, and it's. I'm not gonna tell you where.
It was our shortest Tarantino retro, so go check that out.
That says a lot.
So when I was making my top 10 characters, first of all, it's hard, right? Because I just immediately first I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a list of all the possible characters. That was probably at least 20 characters on there. And then, I don't know, I'd say my top 6 or 7 is pretty solid. I know that those guys are kind of up there. And then I kind of had that 8 through 13, 15 range where it's okay, I don't really know how to judge some of these. And so I ended up looking at who was in there, and on my first draft of the list, what I had is there was 3 actors who had 2 separate characters on there. And so I decided to kind of kick those ones out of the bottom just to make it a little bit more, have a little bit more diversity in there. With one exception, there's one actor/actress who I just couldn't not have both of their characters. So we'll find out who that is. Yeah,
that is tough to say.
So here are my quick honorable mentions. Some of these might be surprising, but that I think just goes to show how many great characters Tarantino has created over the years. Stuntman Mike. is actually
Oh wow, not a top tenner.
that's an
Wow.
accident. He is in my top 10.
Oh,
That was a fake out. You fell for it.
Comeback.
You fell for it.
Come back.
Fuck, my notes are garbage. Mr. White from Reservoir Dogs. Awesome character, a lot of fun. Didn't quite make it in my list. Calvin Candy doesn't make it in my top 10. Beatrix Kiddo, the bride, does not make it in my top 10. And
that hurts.
And Chris from Hateful Eight, who I think is a really, really fun character, but just not quite enough to make it in my top 10. So yeah, those, right? Tricky. How do you cut those people? How do you do it?
How do you?
Well, one of the reasons is because number 10 is my fake out vote. It is Stuntman Mike. Stuntman Mike is just such a fun character, very classic Tarantino in terms of, just eating really nastily, just making these like really, just the way he talks to people is like really strange. He's such a weird guy. He's definitely like one of the creepiest characters of the Tarantino movies. He just makes that movie so much fun to me because of how, like, I feel like I feel like Kurt Russell just like is very close to being over the top, but not quite. He's still like believable and realistic, so it makes for a really fun character. And then you just have like some really over the top scenes where he's just like having a conversation and just like has to sneeze midway through and just like holds him up, or when like he's just pouring alcohol on his wound and he's just like screaming at the top of his lungs. Stuntman Mike is a lot of fun, and obviously he kicked you, as you saw, just kicked out all those other people who are very high quality characters.
Yeah.
So a tricky decision to be sure. But number 10, Stuntman Mike.
Absolutely. All right, I'll take it there. I'm not going to do any honorable mentions. When I did my character list, I didn't want to overthink like it and like, I don't know, probably do what you did and just find out that there's characters that could bump down. Because, I don't know, just off the top, I go in my number 10. I threw Mr. Pink from Reservoir Dogs.
Nice pick.
This guy's definitely an asshole. If I met him in real life, he'd probably be a big dick. He's pretty racist in the movie, but overall, he's just. I think he's like probably my favorite part about that whole movie. Honestly, nice. He's just such a, I don't know, like wacky character. He's just trying to like be the professional among the group when shit's just hitting the fan. But he just, I don't know, he just seems very like twitchy and like just. I don't know. It's hard to explain what he is, but whenever I see him on the screen in that movie, I absolutely love it. I'm talking about Reservoir Dogs. I don't know if I already mentioned that, but yeah, no.
I think Mr. Color is like signifies Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, So yeah, there you go. Number 10, Mr. Pink. Pass it along.
My honorable mentions. It's tough because this is when all of my lists are pretty certain except for this one. I've been fighting all day, and now I'm coming to that point of who do you want in that 10th slot there, and it's tough, but honorable mentions appeal that are definitely not getting on. Sam Jackson is Steven from Django, Doctor Unchained. Django Unchained. It's just such a
Doctor Unchained, MD.
It's just such a over the top character, but I think it's maybe his best performance in the whole thing. Maybe not next Pulp Fiction, but second, I think that's definitely a hit.
Calvin,
no, Calvin, no. Bill, I love Bill. I think he's a great foil. I think the reason he's not in top 10, just the screen time, he's just not in there. But if you go back and listen to our retro, love any scene that has to do with Bill, and I think Carradine just does that role flawlessly. Mr. Orange and Mr. White, very close to being in there, but I feel we just don't spend enough time with them. This one was tough for me, but it was Mr. Pink as well. This is the one that's been close going top 10. It's just the same thing as far as I went for maybe ones we spent more time with, even though this one was really tough with who will be number 10. I'll reveal that. And then Dr. King Schultz actually is in there.
Yeah, good shout out.
Yeah, I like him a lot, but I won't generalize as much. But sometimes I do just feel like he's playing the good guy Londa. It's just like, and that's why, maybe a minor spoiler for characters or people we wouldn't bring back. I didn't bring back Christopher Waltz because I just feel that I think
his name's Christopher now.
Yeah, it is. I'm his friend. That's what he says. He says, call me Christopher Travis. Bingo. No, but I just feel that was the best we got with him in Bastards, and maybe he'll appear somewhere else. But number 10 is the same as Dylan, Stuntman Mike. I put him in there because he is, I've talked about before, he's like a movie monster. He's like a Jason or Freddy. Obviously not in that same way of being this lumbering nobody that's just powerful, but he's that impending doom. That car is just used as Jason's mask, as a dream, anything else, that is the thing to know. Oh, it's coming. That's the and then you got Kurt Russell, who's just fantastic in the role. I think he's 10 just because of how enjoyable he is, but I couldn't put him any higher because he's not much of a character other than we all we know about him is he kills people and he gets a sexual urge out of it. But other than that, we don't know much. But he's just a fun character. Like I said, he's the movie monster of this list. That's why he makes it. I think with and we did the trivia. There's a lot of actors that they threw that could have been good, and there's some that throw that could have been bad. I think that Kurt Russell makes this role. If it's not Kurt Russell playing this role, there's a chance Stuntman Mike's not on here. You know, so Stuntman Mike, number 10 for me.
That's a damn good pick. I mean, that's the same as me. Number 9 for me is...
Bias. Come on.
Yeah. Super biased. Yeah, your pick, I don't know.
Whoa.
I'm just kidding. Number 9 for me is going to Reservoir Dogs. It's going to go to Mr. Orange.
Oh, yeah.
Tim Roth is amazing. I think... I'm not going to repeat that. I think Tarantino just has such high standards for actors in general, right? So, like, everyone on... this list, everyone in the top 15, everyone in the top 20, everyone top 25, they'd all be like good actor, like really good acting. I just think that's kind of across the board for Tarantino stuff.
Not Channing Tatum.
That's fair, but I don't know if I don't know if he'd be in the top 25 though. Is what I'm saying.
Shut that up.
But Mr. Orange for me is just a really fun character to see the different sides to him, right? Because you get like this sequence where you go into like his backstory and you see him as like a cop with like this acting teacher, and it's just fun to see that kind of development, and like him telling that scene when he goes to like the bathroom is just such a fun interaction. But then also like a lot of this movie he's just like screaming, whimpering in pain, and he's still just like, you know, he's still like acting in those moments, right? Even though he's like maybe in the background, maybe he's like kind of in and out of consciousness, he's still just like a fun character that really adds to the scene and makes, I don't know, he's definitely like just this I guess like this tension that's kind of in the movie. You don't really know what his fate is going to be, and it's kind of fun to just like, you know, his backstory earlier on, and you're wondering if they're going to find out what's going on. It's kind of revealed like right at the very very end. But yeah, just amazing. And Tim Roth is just so great. And unfortunately, I don't think his other characters have like enough screen time to like justify really making it into like a top 10 characters list. Even though he's always fantastic, so I definitely wanted him somewhere in my top 10. So. I'm happily putting him with Mr. Orange.
Orange.
Number 9.
Not a bad pick.
It's all right.
Not what I would have went with. But.
No, you didn't. You went with pink, yeah.
Yeah, so number 9, just a disclaimer, my list is actually not in order, so I'm just kind of trying to order them, like, on top, you know?
Can't make a
decision. It's like a freestyle.
Just like Dylan and Jessica who can't put numbers on reviews. You guys, no backbones.
Yeah. No backbone. I'm backboneless.
Backboneless.
Because of this fucking chair, Travis. It's not my fault.
I know.
All right.
Go to Patreon. Get us new chairs.
My number 9, I went with John the Hangman Ruth.
Wow.
I absolutely love this character. It's definitely to do with Kurt Russell. I think he's just like a perfect role for that character. He's got the look, and he's got like, I don't know, the gravitas when he goes into a room, like everyone just like feels his presence.
These are my presidents.
Yeah.
My Lincoln letter.
He's got the presence when he goes in a room. You know, he's got a reputation. Everybody kind of knows who the Hangman is, and you know, he definitely comes off as kind of just an asshole, like up in your face, just kind of takes authority in the room. But he's also like friendly. You know, like he's respectful. Whether he's talking to his prisoner, what's her
Daisy Domergue.
Yeah, Daisy Domergue. Yeah, there you go. Like he definitely, you know, beats her ass a couple times in that movie, but there's also times where he's just having a conversation with her and just hanging loose. But yeah, I absolutely love that character, and he was definitely like the high point for that movie for me. I loved him, and man, those like mutton chops or whatever you want to call them, so
fantastic
good.
look.
So
good. Looks
good.
like a king,
and his huge like fur coat. He just I loved him in that movie. So yeah, that's my number 9.
It's all right. It's all right.
Number
9 for me.
We gotta stop judging each other, guys. We gotta be on the same team.
Kiddo is Beatrix is the bride.
Ayo.
This is one kind of the same thing with something. And Mike was going back and forth a lot with Mr. Pink, but she just leads those two movies very well. I'm a big fan of Uma Thurman. I think she plays kind of that badass really well, but then when she needs to be kind of soulful and caring, especially, like I said, we'll get into movie rankings, but those scenes when she does find out her daughter's alive, I think she does a really good job with that. And, I think it's because it is some screen time, but I just think Uma Thurman has, as Kirkland was talking about with Kurt Russell, she is such a presence. She kind of carries those movies. They're not bad movies. There's tons of good stuff about them, but I think it's kind of the same thing. You needed someone like her. I try to think of other females that Tarantino's worked with, and I couldn't think of anyone that would have brought the same kind of level to that role that she did. Maybe there's some other actors out in the world that could have, but she just carries the bride very well. So the bride, number 9.
Nice. My next pick, it's kind of like an asterisk to what I said earlier of only having like the actor wants. This is not the double pick, but it is going to be John Ruth as well. And it's kind of an asterisk because you can't really separate this character from like Daisy Domergue because they're literally handcuffed to each other the entire movie. So it's hard. You can't really have one without the other. A lot of times characters in these movies are like buddy. They're hanging out for a lot of it, but these characters have literally every single scene together and usually have dialogue.
They die attached to each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, kind
of.
Daisy's got his arm.
He is attached to her.
Like if your arm got chopped off, would I still refer to that arm as Kirkland Patzer?
Oh yeah, it's my property.
I don't
Come on.
Not.
I came into the world with it.
He's not. He's right.
No,
like
he's
technically,
he's not right.
But also kind of wrong. Yeah, it's interesting.
I'd say it's a gray area. That's another cast.
Full on black and white.
Tune in after 9.
But just like Bounty Law,
exactly. Exactly what Kirkland said. He is definitely the most like fun aspect of that movie. From the very beginning to his untimely end, and then Daisy Domergue as well is just like this total wild card. Who there's characters like that in Tarantino movies, but they're all men, so it's kind of fun to like switch that up for one movie and just have Daisy Domergue who's just like this kind of really nasty person, I'd shitting on everyone and spitting in people's face. And
the one person that kind of reminds me of her, not quite to the extreme, I'd say is I don't even know what her name is. It's like Puddin' in Pulp Fiction. Tim Ross, like wife or whatever she was.
Pumpkin, isn't it?
Pumpkin, yeah.
Or he's Pumpkin. She's Honey Bunny.
Honey Bunny, yeah. Her character, because she's a little wild and
be cool.
Yeah, yeah. But that's the only character I can kind of like think of.
Right.
Plus, it's another female.
So
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. So that's my number 8.
Number 8.
It's all right. No.
Oh yeah. Alrighty. Let's go with my man Cliff Booth. Latest movie. I absolutely loved Brad Pitt in that role. He just had the look, and I honestly I think the number one scene that sold it for me was like the boat scene with his wife. It's just like that's what tells me like all about what that character is. He's a little shady, but at the same time, it's like, did he really do it? We don't really know. But no, I absolutely love that character. Like I just mentioned, Brad Pitt's just look for it. He looks so good. He's like, I don't know how old he is, but man, he is sure jacked.
In his 50s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a good looking 50-year-old. But I absolutely loved him in that movie. And then you pair him with Leo, and he's just so good. I just love their chemistry together. But yeah, that's my number 8, Cliff Booth.
My number 8 is kind of similar to The Bride, but I just love this character. We've talked about maybe he doesn't have a really in-depth character, but is Django Freeman himself. He's just so cool, and he's such a badass. And I think a lot of these have to do with the actors, but Jamie Foxx, it's so funny when we were doing the trivia and talked about how that could have been Will Smith, and I can't imagine anyone else playing Django other than Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
And like I said, he doesn't have much. He doesn't develop that much. It's his goal is to become free and get his wife. So it's similar to Bride. He has one goal. He's going to go do it. But just the way he reacts, just the D is silent, things like that. Hey, little John, like just his delivery. I think it's the lines the most part. Jamie Foxx just delivers this intensity, but this cool as ice delivery that only he can, because he's an Oscar winner. So I'm a big fan of Django. It's the same thing when I hear, even if Tarantino's not directing, of like, oh, Django might be in a Tarantino or might be in a Zorro crossover. It's like, it better be Jamie Foxx. They're like one and the same, I love Django. I could watch I've always said that I'm kind of done with Tarantino doing westerns, but if he said I'm going to make 10 more movies about Django, I could watch it, because I think he is just a fun, delightful character that adds tons of situation or good to the situation, but at the same time, when he needs to be scary and tough, he is. So yeah, Django Freeman.
Django.
Yeah, he's awesome because he doesn't really have that much dialogue in the grand scheme of things, especially in Tarantino sense, but every line he has...
It's definitely really the line delivery. Is just, he puts something behind those words that he says. That's good. Silent Hillbilly.
What are we on? We're on number 7,
Say
right?
bye.
My number 7, once again, apparently I'm just following Kirkland today. It's going to be Cliff.
Hey, let's go.
It's going to be Cliff as well. Exactly. Once again, exactly what you said, but... God, Brad Pitt is just fantastic. Like every scene he is in, whether he's just has like a couple more like whimsical scenes, but then also just like this kind of creepy vibes that he gives off, but still like that charismatic. He's an interesting character because you may look at him and be like, oh, he doesn't really have the best life, but he's just like happy living it either way. He's just happy to be around. He's just a chill guy, and he still has like that badass factor to him as well.
Oh yeah,
he's definitely funny. Badass, interesting, dynamic. He's got it all.
Love his chemistry with his dog too.
Yeah,
so good.
Oh yeah.
Other than Rick Dalton, I'd say that's definitely his best buddy.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, I'm just gonna ride the Brad Pitt train. I'm gonna go Aldo Rain.
Okay.
That's my number 7 pick. The first time I watched Inglourious Basterds, I didn't really care for the character that much. I don't know if it was, just in a weird mood when I watched it. Who knows? Maybe there's other people that stood out for me in that movie, but definitely like when we recently did on the retro, I just fell in love with that character. Probably just like his Italian accent and just all of his lines are hilarious. The little standoff that he has with that one German in the bar is just so great too. But yeah, I just love that character. I think Brad Pitt's like a perfect guy to have in that role too, kind of a leader of the bastards, right? And yeah, he's just great. So Aldo Rain, number 7.
Great pick.
Number 7 for me is Jules from Pulp Fiction. I like the character a lot. I think it's just because, excuse me, he has some great delivery of lines in that movie. Like obviously the speech is iconic. I think it's just because his story, and this is why like he's still in the top 10. He still gets up there. Just I imagine some people might be, why isn't he higher? I think it's just because he doesn't have much of as far as a journey as maybe say Vincent or Mia or Butch, because it's just not even Butch, but just sense of he gets obsessed with these bullets and kind of what that means and whatnot, and like religious aspects in movies usually don't really play to me that much. So that's why I've never cared for that aspect. He's just on there because of 2 reasons, and we talked about this last week of like, if I was doing performances, like just flat out performances, he might be in the top 3 because I think Sam Jackson just brings it. I think it's a crime he didn't win the Oscar that year. But as a character, he's kind of similar to you, Django. He's just cool as ice. He's just slick. He knows exactly what to say to get under your skin, to make you scared, to kind of give you a chuckle. Him and Vincent are just peanut butter and chocolate. You know, their conversations about royals with cheese or foot massage. I could listen to those 2 all day, much like some other characters I'm going to talk about. But yeah, that's the only reason why he's lower, is just because once it's kind of talk about like the prophecy and like or being a prophet and all that, I kind of go, that's not exactly for me. But Jules, Sam Jackson, great job.
It's a wonderful pick, and that's exactly why he's my number 6. Yeah, Jules, like Pulp Fiction is just, it's the first Tarantino movie I saw, and I've seen like so many years ago. Every time I watch it, it just gets better and better, and he's definitely, as you said, just like nails it. I think what really stood out to me like this last time I watched it is just like the last scene he has when he's talking to Tim Roth's character, and like the camera's just totally zoomed in, like just directly on his face. There's nothing else in the frame, but he's just like, he has you so captivated the whole time, even though it's like he's already said that full that full paragraph earlier in the movie, but he still just like has you on edge. And then, yeah, just like the little moments of talking about whatever, things that don't matter at all. He just always keeps it fun. Obviously, the dynamic between him and Vincent is just like fantastic, right? Like the whole sequence when you shot Marvin, right? Like that whole scene is so much fun. Just the way they react off each other and how Vincent's kind of being an asshole about it, and Jules is just like trying to respect the wolf and all that situation. It's so much fun to watch their dynamic together. So he for me is easily number 6.
Right on, carrying on the flag. Then Jules, that's my number 6 as well. Basically everything you guys touched upon. I don't know if I want to keep beating that dead horse, but I don't know if you guys mentioned his look, but I absolutely loved his look in this one, so I'll shut that one out. The fro, and especially when they get like the casual clothes from Jimmy. Yeah. I think that was Tarantino's character there.
Looks like a couple of doors.
Yeah. But yeah, he's just so good in it. All of his line delivery. I think the whole like preaching thing definitely worked more for me than it did Travis, but I don't know. I think it's like a lot of that like more, I don't know if you want to call it like more powerful dialogue where there's actually like meaning behind it. I feel like the dialogue where it's just him and Vincent talking about Big Kahuna Burger or something like that, or like the Royale Burger, whatever it's called.
Royale with cheese.
Yeah, Royale with cheese. Like all that stuff. I just absolutely loved it. Those 2 are just so great. I don't know how they can it'd be interesting to like compare Brad Pitt and Leo versus Samuel Jackson and
the chemistry.
And,
it's a totally different type of relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because those 2 are like workplace friends, where the other ones are like friends.
Totally
right?
friends.
But I'd say that maybe those guys would call each other more on their shit opposed to Cliff and Rick, just because they're a bit more friendly. And
no,
nice
for sure.
To each
and
other.
I love when they have like that little banter though, just calling each other, like especially like the scene that you mentioned when they killed Marvin or Vincent kills Marvin, and just so great. But yeah, that's my number 6.
Do you
I'll
mind if
love Jules.
I have a taste of your Sprite to wash down this tasty burger?
I love Samuel Jackson in basically every movie. That's Tarantino. I
keep chilling.
She's just so good in it. But that's the one character I wanted to put on my top 10.
Yeah,
the one character
for Samuel Jackson.
Okay, I see.
I didn't want to throw on like 3 different Samuel Jacksons. I probably could if we had like top 20, but it might be a stretch.
Yeah.
I'm trying real hard to be the shepherd. This one probably is like, if I had a tier, this would be like the last character and the ones I consider just very cool for school, things like that. And that's Cliff Booth, Brad Pitt. These guys talking about him earlier, and we just reviewed, so I won't go too much into it. But spoiler, although Rain is not on my list, I prefer this type of acting from Brad Pitt. I like the character. I like the mystery around the character, I like the intrigue. I just like that this guy, once he's in a car, you just never know what's going to happen. You never know if he's doing something for good, whether he's going to go fight Bruce Lee, whether he's going to go mess around Charlie Manson's camp and whatnot. And just he is the badass factor again. But I think Brad Pitt delivers that really well, because he is a shady guy, but he just finds the right balance of being comedic, shady, friendly, so that he feels like a fully fleshed out character, but then he just also feels like you never truly know him. You know, you feel like you know him, but you don't know him at the same time. So Cliff Booth didn't make it in the top 5, but
he was close. Speaking of top 5, that's where we are now, and I am going to pick Brad Pitt's other character, Aldo Rain. Inglourious Basterds as well is just a movie that gets better and better every single time I watch it. That's why I'm excited to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and see how Brad Pitt's character fares on me there. But ever since the beginning, I've always loved Aldo Rain, just like the over-the-top accent in like not just the accent, but also just like everything he does, the way he talks to people, the way he handles like interrogations. He always has like this like goofy attire to him, I guess, but at the same time, he's still being semi-serious. It's just like this really, really fun character that I think I feel like it really gives the movie some life. And some of the other characters are serious, like kind of the whole way through, or maybe have like one or two joking lines, or maybe just like some more simple kind of relationships, like Shosanna. Like that's kind of a little more simple story, her in the theater and stuff. But Aldo Rain is just this heart and like liveliness and like this color to the movie that I think is keeps it interesting every time I watch it.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
Mm-hmm. Want those scalps? I'm
going to go... So this is number 5, correct?
Yes, top 5.
My number 5, I'm going to just throw another Pulp Fiction character, Vincent Vega.
Nice.
This is definitely a character that's just grown on me the more and more I've seen this movie. I absolutely just love anytime he's on screen. I love his little relationship he has with Mia Wallace, as well as when he's like dealing with his drug dealer. Just anytime he's dealing with like any of these like main characters as well as the side characters, he's just so good. I absolutely love his look, his long hair. I didn't think I liked the first time I watched this movie. I thought it was a little just like I was probably going from like Grease, where he's got like the classic greaser like slick back nice looking hair, and then this where he's just got like long kind of greasy looking hair. But but now I love it. Yeah, it's just so good. I love when he's just like doing heroin, and like the way that he's just like I don't know, just like acting while he's just messed up. It's just so good. Gotta love that dance scene. But I had to put him above Jules just because he had more screen time. And
that's fair.
Yeah, because like Jules' lines were so good, but I think like Vincent's like body language and just like his general like acting, just like with his body, was just so good. And I just loved him in this movie. So number 5, Vincent Vega. Let's go.
Into the top 5 here. One of the people that I think could be on the, I've said this before, top 5 villains all the time. Hans Landa. Love Hans Landa. You know everything about him from that opening scene. Just commands it. That's, to me, the best scene in Inglourious Basterds. Maybe that's a spoiler for later. But it's just he's just fantastic. He has a great grip of that character. And it's a very fleshed out villain where if you look at lots of the villains before, I've talked about it with Bill, but even then with Bill, he's, just a murderous guy. This guy, he's almost like how we were talking about with Cliff. You just can never put your finger on him. The second you think he should have the bastards dead to right and want to kill them and win the war, he takes this U-turn and says, oh, no, we could work together and do this and this. So, and even then, just the intensity that he brings, but also the very dark humor that he brings to the role as well. Christoph Waltz is phenomenal at that. So Hans Landa at number 5.
It's a good pick.
Christopher.
I'm kicking it right back to Pulp Fiction. We're not getting away from
let's go.
This cast. I'm going with Mia Wallace.
Ooh.
Uma Thurman's other character that, to me, just every part of Pulp Fiction is just like a perfect movie. But I think she's just like such a dynamic character because there's always like, no matter how many times you watch this movie, there's always like this mystery about her and like exactly what are her intentions or like what did she do with this guy. The relationship she has with Vincent is just so much fun. Like all their dialogue is so on point. But then like just Uma Thurman acting wise, just that, the overdose scene is like super intense and like very, very visceral. Just like the look on her face, the makeup they did for her, it's like, it's fucking terrifying. So that part is nailed as well. And yeah, I think she's just like that. She just has like that alluring effect to her that I don't know is always, it's like that's never gone from the first time I watched this movie to when I watched it like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Like it's always there. She's just like has this presence on screen that's really unlike anyone else. I feel like. Yeah.
Right on. Cool. So we're on number 4 now. This is where we get down to the bare bones. This is where I really gotta show my cards on who trumps my other picks here. I think I'm gonna have to go with Hans Landa here as my number 4 pick. Travis just mentioned him and basically agree with everything he said. I definitely think he's just like the biggest, I don't know, component to the movie Inglourious Basterds. He's just anytime he's on screen, you're kind of worried for like, I don't know, the allied character, whether it's the Inglourious Basterds, whether it's like Shoshona and her family, like at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Even the farmer.
Yeah.
I forget his name.
Lapadite.
Yeah, Lapadite.
Briggs will never let you forget it.
Is it Labadite or Lapetite?
Lapadite.
Okay.
Padite.
I heard like B and P there, so I'm just gonna.
No one really knows.
But yeah, no.
Only those who have read the script know.
He's so good. I love when he's just like messing with Aldo Rain in like the theater scene when he just clearly knows like Italian just fluently. It's just so good.
Just hysterically laughing.
Yeah, and then the scene when he's at like having dinner with Shoshona and he's just like totally playing mind games. It's just so good. You never know like what he actually knows. It's so good in that movie, and absolutely love Christopher Waltz.
Christopher Waltz. Good friend of mine. Someone that's not a good friend of mine, but this is where I guess I didn't even say with my top 10 criteria. I did it with characters I liked, and then I also kind of have performances in there, and that's why I do think that Hans Landa is a better villain than this character, but the performance Leo gives as Calvin Candy is just out of this world. He is on fire. I am still salty that he lost to Christopher Waltz for Django Unchained, but yeah, Calvin Candy, I think we saw a little bit of it in Inglourious Basterds, how he would poke fun at the Nazis and kind of belittle them and whatnot. And you kind of have Calvin Candy this way, where I've talked about before the Bastards review. He's just this man-child. He's this guy who is just wants everything he wants and doesn't care what he'll do to take it. But he is very uneducated. He is not a bright guy. He's not a friendly guy. He's very bullish. He's very in your face. But he just kind of inherited all this stuff, so he just thinks he's better than everybody. He's probably not really worked a lick of a day of his life. He just goes around trading slaves or watching Mendigos fight. You know, like he's not really done anything to build his empire, but he has people around him that protect him. And I just love the way Leo plays him. And I get him a little bump because Christoph Waltz is nowhere near like Hans Landa, but I can still see it's Christoph Waltz. To me, with Leo playing Calvin Candy, I just see Calvin Candy. I can't even see Leo there. It's just such a fantastic performance. And like I talked about in that review, he can be kind of has that dark comedy, but at the same point, he is a very cowardice character, but when he needs to be scary, he can be scary. When there's that scene where he's talking about old Ben, that's a frightening scene, you know, and obviously it's paired with the classic story now of Leo breaking that glass on his hand, but you can just see how zoned in he was. So Calvin Candy, and I love Django Unchained, but I think when Calvin gets in, just when you get that harsh zoom in on Calvin, the movie just changes, and to me it just goes up by 1,000, and you're always on edge because you're just waiting for him to figure it out. And that's the best thing. He doesn't figure it out. Steven has to figure it out for him, and it just is, you never get that moment where with Landa he's a very smart, calculating guy. He turns things, but this guy, things just kind of fall in his lap. So I love Calvin Candy. I love that he got what he deserved, and he's just a very interesting character. I would love like a comic or a movie, or not a movie, but like a book on him, just because I'd like to see what his childhood was like. And even then, there's like weird kind of like insinuations that he might be getting on with his sister. Like,
yeah,
big time.
Lots of stuff going on with Calvin Candy, you know. So yeah, Leo for Calvin Candy.
Great pick.
Monsieur Candy.
Monsieur Candy. What are we on? Number 3? Number 4?
Number 3, the top 3.
Number 3, I'm still talking about Pulp Fiction. To me, it's going to be Vincent Vega.
Let's go, Vincent.
At number 3. Yeah, it's obviously I just had Jules, Mia, and him all very high up on this list. Those 3 together, just Butch as well. You got to give him some shout outs. Doesn't have like as many layers as these characters maybe, or maybe just doesn't have quite the same like script there to make it like as interesting, but those 3 characters are just like so golden and make that movie amazing every single time. And yeah, Vincent, it's what you had him at. What number was he from you again? Number 5, number 6?
Good question.
He was up there. You don't have your list number. That's a really hard question to put you on the spot.
Absolutely. I think it
Either
was
way,
5.
What I was gonna say, as you mentioned, like he has like this charisma to him that's like really fun, but yet he is still like an asshole in those scenes. Like when he's just washing like his bloody hands on the towel, he's like, "You gotta wash them first," you know. The scenes, with Mia are just great when he goes into the bathroom and he's like trying to convince himself like not to do anything with her. The scenes when he's just like strung out and he's just like super faded. Like the acting there is like unreal.
So
He seems like he's just like in another world on all this heroin.
Good. His dance,
chasing the dragon. Yeah, he's such a fun character, such a asshole, but like feels so real at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think obviously up here on this Pulp Fiction, that's my last Pulp Fiction pick. But he's definitely my number one for Pulp Fiction, and that's not an easy spot to claim. There's so many great characters in that movie. So shout outs to Vincent Vega.
Shouts out to Vincent. Number 3, I'm gonna go with the free man himself, Django.
Nice.
Definitely everything Travis said, and definitely big double check on the badass mark. There's a lot of characters that are just badass in Tarantino movies, but I feel like this guy is he's just an encumberment of all things that are badass.
The outfits, yeah.
Yeah, you know, he's a former slave, just now he's a bounty hunter. Like, and he just looks so sick. You know, what is he? The quickest hand in the West.
Yeah.
Oh man, especially like that end scene when he just tears down that whole plantation house. When he's does like a zoom in with his little candy cigarette.
Yeah.
Not actually a candy cigarette, but Calvin Candy cigarette. That's probably what I should.
Probably should have prefixed that.
Yeah, and he's so good throughout it. I don't want to just rehash everything you said, but he's just a great character, and I absolutely love him, and absolutely love that movie. So yeah, number 3.
Number 3 for me is Rick fucking Dalton.
Oh, let's go, Rick
Dalton.
This is the same thing. Number 1 and 2, it's hard to justify because those two, or Rick Dalton is great as well, so I'll wait till I get to them. I think this one is, just because it's a bit newer, I don't know if I could put them any higher, but at the same time, my 1 and 2 picks I'm very confident in. I think this might actually be, and the other two maybe have the kind of cool factor. I said this on the review and I stand by it. I think this is Tarantino's best written character. I think Tarantino is great at making badass characters, cool characters. I think there's very few characters when you look at them that go super, super deep as far as it's more, this is the character is established, they are great, and then it's what they're doing in a journey. But this is a character that we're on his journey. We're seeing him involved. We're seeing him in the worst part of his life, which sometimes with Django, The Bride, we often see that, but we're not getting much development. Like we've talked about before, it's just a revenge flick. It's I got to kill this person. Where this is, and again, other than not killing Death Proof, this is not a criminal. He's not a killer. He's not a bounty hunter. He's just an actor down on his luck. And I love it. I won't do deep dive. Go back to our review. It was a good review. But I just love everything they do with them. Obviously, I don't even need to say it, but Leo just gives it 110%. Something entirely different than you look at Calvin Candy. You know, just a piece of shit character. Where this guy has levels of being crappy, but you're still pulling for him because you feel like he's crappy just because like the world's turned against him in his mind. And in real life, he's still acting. He's still getting good gigs. He's still getting offered movies, but it's not good enough because he didn't reach that pinnacle. You know, he's living beside Roman Polanski, the greatest director at that time, and he's just always mad about something. He's always distrusts himself, and if not alone, just that trailer scene alone of just like other than maybe Endgame, I can't remember the last time I laughed so hard. It's just like, if you don't get this right, I'm gonna go home and blow your fucking brains out. He's just like looking at himself in the mirror, and it's just like. It's such a sad scene, but it's funny. And I also think he's the most relatable character because I love Django, but clearly I'm a white bread man, so I can't relate there. Even someone like who was also my lich, like luckily I can't relate to Londa or Calvin, but like Cliff, well again to maybe wife murder. A lot of these are bad people, but the point is I can't really relate to many Tarantino characters. I don't think many of us can.
They're larger than life.
Yeah, we can relate to little things. Where with Leo's character, with Rick Dalton, you can. We've all been in that situation where you're down on your luck, life's not going your way, you screw up, you're mad at yourself, you're just waiting for a big break, whether that's a job, whether that's a friendship, a relationship, whatever it is, we've all been there. So I think, and this is why maybe over time he could even be number 1, but I think I had to put him in the top 3. I love Leo in this role, and I cannot wait to see this movie again. I'm going to try to see it one more time before it's out of theaters. So.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't had a single original thought. I keep following you guys, but I'm going Rick Dalton for my number 2.
And you went first, too, so you would think, you know.
I know, I fucked up when it's just a big mistake. I had Mr. Orange, you know, that's my one pick. Rick fucking Dalton. Travis just said pretty much everything there is, but I think just to reiterate, I think this is definitely the most dynamic of like Tarantino characters. I feel like this character is one. I think Tarantino does this a lot, where like he probably has in his head like their whole backstory, but I feel like this one he just wrote like a full biography on this is what this character was doing at age 12, age 18, 24, like everything that leads up to the point. You feel like it's a character that's lived a full life, and yeah, definitely the most relatable in the ways that you said. And I think it's just so much fun to watch, Leo like playing Rick Dalton, who is acting as other characters, where he's like a bad actor in some of these shows as well. It's like the amount of like acting skill it takes to do what you have to do for that role is insane. And then just the little moments when like any little compliment he gets, he just like starts crying. He's like just super emotional, like wears his heart on his sleeve in that sense. Just such a fun character. And it's crazy that like, after, as I was saying earlier, Tarantino movies really reward those rewatches. You see so many more details, but the fact that he is like just easily like I can easily put him in slot 2 after only seeing the movie once. I think it's just a testament to how interesting that character is and how a phenomenal performance it is from Leo. And I just can't wait to see the movie again. Fucking walks out yelling at the hippies with his margarita in his hand.
Good.
Come on, what you doing down
He's
here?
just every scene is so much fun. From when he's an asshole to when he has heart to when he's really nervous. It's like it's all there. He's got every angle covered from that character. He's shot from every point of view. It's amazing.
And you thought you felt bad. So I'm going Rick Dalton.
Rick fucking Dalton.
Rick fucking Dalton. Don't you forget it. And everything you guys just said, basically. Just quick shout out to the same scene Travis said. I was like howling in the theater. Like that was so funny when he's like so mad at himself. He's like, you drank 7 scotch and whatever he was drinking. He's like, you couldn't have stopped at 2, but you're just like so...
That's it. You're done drinking. And they cut.
He's so good in that movie.
He's still drinking.
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything. Whoa, that kind of hurt.
Whoa.
Definitely agree with everything you guys said. Just like the most fleshed out character I think that Tarantino has ever had. Like you basically see him in like different stages of his life. There's parts where you're like, this guy's an asshole. There's parts where you're rooting for him, and then at the end of the movie, you're just happy for him. And it's just such a good performance by Leo. I'm definitely rooting for him to get that Oscar for that role.
I thought you don't believe in Oscars.
I definitely don't, but
give him another one.
I do for Leo.
It's too late. He's coming out the same year as Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, baby. Ain't happening this year.
Ooh.
He already got a 1. He's fine.
Right.
He should have 2, but
Yeah, it's a stupid show anyways. Oscars.
Wow. Tune in the
Golden Geeks.
Yeah,
that's
tune into
where
our
it's
watch along, which we'll probably do.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rick
Kirkland
fucking
trash.
Dalton. That's my number 2.
Number 2, she's been talked about before, but Mia Wallace. Just a very, maybe the most interesting character because you just can't, and we've talked about this with Cliff and other people, but you just really can't put your finger on her. And even when she has that scene when she overdoses and she has this great, like, little just goodbye with Vincent at the end, and you do feel like you maybe see a little bit of her human side there, but obviously nothing happens. And just to flat out say it, like, she's just damn sexy in the movie. She's so flirtatious, but she's just like poison ivy. Like the whole time with Vincent, you feel the same way he does, where you want to learn no more about her, but you don't want him to learn too much because you might worry for his life, because you just don't know, have people been taken out for her at her request? Has she done that on purpose? Or is it just she's made some mistakes and some guy's been taken out? You can never truly... This is the best sign about her character. You can never truly believe what she's saying, but you want to believe what she's saying.
And then you almost feel like Vincent, like, oh, he's different, right? He's different than these other guys.
And you just never know, and that's the thing. You want her to not be lying about this foot massage and have nothing to do with it. But at the end of the time, the way she treats Vincent, you just never know, even their meeting. But she's just this, like, seductress. Just the look of her is great. Just she's pale white, that red ass lipstick, that black hair, but then the white dress shirt. It's just the look. It's just like a stunning look. Where even Vincent and Jules have that, but they're just in suits every way they use for the introduction, coming over the overcom, everything like that. Just leave the notes, the square. She's just an iconic character. She's just. I don't think he is made anywhere near. I like The Bride. Obviously, that's the only other female I have on the list. But as far as females, he made a lot of good ones. But I think she stands out from the pack, even just with the men. So yeah, number 2 for me. It's just like I want to know more about that character, but at the same time, not knowing more is a good thing, and that's a rarity. So
yeah,
that's my number 2.
We're on to the big one.
Big Uno.
I think I know your guys' ones.
Your favorite Tarantino character. Yeah, mine is going to be one that you guys had earlier on your list. Hans Landa, Christoph Waltz. What can I say differently from you guys? I think as Travis said in the first scene, it's like established right away what this character is, and it's amazing acting. It's interesting because he always has a plan, right? He always goes into like every scene, every conversation with like an end goal, and the way he gets there just by like small talk, by relating to people, to getting them to do things, getting them to say things for him. Like he just grabs power in every little like ounce he can. Whether it's like, hey, get me a glass of milk, and just fucking downs that glass of milk. Whether it's La Petite whips out a pipe, he whips out an even bigger pipe. It's always like this little interesting dialogue, as well as he gets them like say, who am I, all this kind of stuff. The scene with Shosanna when he walks in, and for the first like 30 seconds to a minute you can't actually see his face, it's just his costume and Shosanna's face, like her reaction, and you can just see him, and it's just like that impending doom, right? He is like such a terrifying character because how expert he is. On top of that, he speaks English, French, German, Italian in this movie.
Probably
like,
more. We don't even know.
Honestly, probably more. Yeah, it's insane how much he has to do. But then he also has this like depth to him where he has like that whimsical moment where he's like, "That's a bingo," and he just like curls up in his chair a little bit. The scene, as Kirkland mentioned, when he's laughing at the movie theater just at their Italian accents, and just makes everybody in the theater uncomfortable. But he knows exactly what he's doing. Everything is like calculated. It's an insane performance with the performance from Christoph Waltz is amazing, but it's also cinematography stuff. It's also character things like what he's doing with his hands, like just every little like ounce of that character is like so intentional and detailed. Definitely my favorite Tarantino character. I think Rick Dalton has maybe more layers, but I think he has just as much depth as him in different ways. So yeah, I love that character.
Cool. Alrighty, my number one. I don't know if anyone could have guessed this, but I'm going with Beatrix Kiddo, the bride. Uma Thurman. Absolutely just like fell in love with this character from the moment I first watched that movie. Fell in love with the actress, Uma Thurman. Oh man, huge crush on her after this movie. She was just so badass. She's attractive. She's an ass kicker, samurai sword wielder. She's got the best sword in the world. Like just so many badass things piled into one. Definitely checks all my badass check marks in this in her movies. She's definitely not like the most well developed character as if we compare to like a Rick Dalton, but I just absolutely love how we see her in just total dismay, just totally like basically on death's door, like right at the beginning, and then we get her. Just such like a happy moment with her daughter. Like it's just such in volume 2, it's just such a good moment when she watches that movie with her, and it's something that you wouldn't be expecting in a movie like that because it's all about just her taking people off her list. It's just like a really basic scenario, but it's just I just absolutely love that character so much. I think she's probably like I don't know. She might be my favorite character out of like any movie. Honestly, she's just. I think it's just because she's got like such like a. Like I don't know what you'd call it. Just
Mystique?
But just like not necessarily because there's definitely more mystical characters.
She's got that je ne sais quoi. You don't know how to say it.
She's got that je ne sais quoi, exactly. And I just As Vita Zane. But no, I absolutely love The Bride. I don't know. I don't want to go into too much.
Sure.
So we'll pass it along. That's my number one.
My number one, if you listen to the whole rankings, wouldn't be a surprise. So I won't talk too much about him because I ranted about him on Pulp Fiction. But it's Vincent fucking Vega.
Let's go, Vincent.
I know that's Rick Dalton's tagline, but still, it's just. I think the reason I like him so much is he's just a kooky type of character. He to me fits the least in that movie. Look at Butch, is such a badass. Jules, cool, really good with dialogue. Even Mia, like really well spoken. He is well spoken to a point, but it kind of seems like it happens on accident, or he just bring up stuff. He just kind of seems like he seems to me the perfect representation of a character that's just street smart. You know, he's not book smart. He doesn't know. He makes a lot of mistakes, but he's also a guy you don't want to mess with. Like when he's talking about whoever keyed his car, who we know is Butch, just the way he's talking about like how much he just wants to fucking hurt that person. It's like this guy is scary, you know. And like you guys mentioned with the towels, just the wolf is doing him such a favor, and he's mouthing off the wolf and just like you know, a thank you would be nice, and just like. Or please would be nice, like, and then Wolf like, please, with a double cherry on top. Can you clean the truck? Like, he just doesn't know any better, and that's why he got some shades of his brother in there. And it's just, he is the classic character. If there's a bear to be poked, he's gonna poke it. But then, much like other characters, like Tarantino, he's cool as a cucumber. I love his relationship, and that's probably why you can see him in Mirror 1 and 2. That scene, all that the interactions they have back and forth are just tremendous. When it is the what are they talking about? Is there some danger? Just to the they're just flirting, having fun conversations about Marilyn Monroe or a $5 shake and whatnot. You know, and he's just I think out of all the characters, I would want to hang out with him, even though he might annoy me. You got Cliff in there, you got Rick Dalton, but Rick might be a little too much to hand off. Roll Cliff, you don't know, he might get you in some trouble. But Vincent Vega, you just want to sit down and talk to him, even when he's buying drugs, you know. But even then, he'll still like, oh, are you married with the one with all the shit in her face? Like, oh, that's my wife, dude. He's like, I'm just kidding. But like, you don't think he's kidding. You think he just covered his ass. You know, maybe it's just because I view myself sometimes. I'm just like, he says stuff he shouldn't, you know. So Vincent, and then he can just dance and look really cool and stupid. But yeah, I love Vincent Vega. I could watch an entire just series of that character. So I hate the way he goes out, but it's fitting he would die on the toilet reading a book, you know. So Vincent Vega is my number one. So
nice. I'm still. So here's the thing: we're doing top 5 scenes next. I thought it was top 10. So I got to repurpose my list.
Well, you go last.
Yeah,
Kirkland, you're gonna go first.
You guys go first. Let me fix this up real quick.
And Kirkland, what is your criteria for a best scene? We should throw that out there.
Yeah, very tricky question for a Tarantino movie.
See, this was another one, going back to my little prefix I said earlier, where I didn't want to like dissect every scene out of every single movie, because I would have a list of top 50 probably. Like, it would just be so hard to bear that down to. So I kind of went off
the entirety of Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, exactly, start to finish. No, but definitely like just the most memorable ones. So I initially just wrote down the ones that just like I can never forget. Like, those are just iconic scenes for me anytime I think of a Tarantino movie. So that's kind of how I started it, and then I had to like really like think about each movie, because I didn't want to forget about a really key one, right? But so yeah, it was kind of just off the top, going off just something that was deep in my heart. So that's what I went with. I think for the first one, I'm gonna go with the Jackrabbit Slims Pulp Fiction scene. Basically from the time that they get there to, I don't know how that scene ends, actually. I don't remember.
Them dancing.
Yeah, okay. It just cuts away from that. Okay. But yeah, no, I absolutely just love the dialogue between those two. You already mentioned, like, they just have such good chemistry, and I just absolutely love their conversations. I love the fact that they're both just like fucked up, like just so like they're just. I think Vincent's on heroin. She goes to the bathroom, does some coke, right? Probably did some coke before they even got there. Like, it's just so good, and then just great dance scene, just awesome choreography. Like, that scene, it could have been. I feel like they could have went with a tango dance. They could have gone with any type of dance, but they just went in with this. I don't even.
69.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Or 66, not 69. That's a whole different movie.
That's an After 9 movie.
Yeah.
But no, I love that scene. I love like all the different characters that are in it, like the waitresses, like the Marilyn Monroes. I don't really know the famous actresses, so I can't just throw them on the top of my head, but the conversation with the milkshake, the little Steve Buscemi Easter egg cameo in there, like just I love just the scenery too. It's just such like a tacky place. I love how their table is just a car. Like, I just love everything about that scene. And when I think of Pulp Fiction, I definitely think of that scene probably first. Actually, I don't know. It's tough. There's so many good scenes in Pulp Fiction. Yeah. But yeah, so that's what I'm gonna go with. Number 5.
So I have 3 honorable mentions before I get in the last one. These were all tough because there's many great scenes. But the stuntman Mike, the first kill when he kills the first girls, just because like I love that. And I guess for my criteria, it's memorable scenes, but also I kind of think the beginning of the scene, the ending scene is kind of when we move locations, in my opinion. So lots of these are one location areas. It might be a little longer than usual, but there's nothing that's half an hour, I think. But yeah, the first kill, stuntman Mike, just something of just like, which way are you going, right or left? I'm going left. Well, I really wish you weren't going left, or you wouldn't get scared so soon. You know, and then from there, just a high intensity. This one pained me. You know, people might not believe it, but it pained me not to include the Bastards theater scene. There's a lot going on in that scene. It's great, but I just had to bump for other ones. But it's
the theater scene.
Yeah, when Hitler dies, when it's on fire, you got Shoshana laughing in the smoke. Lots of stuff going on. So, and then last, I just couldn't put it on. And you might say, oh, why? Because I put them in characters. But I couldn't put the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood ending. I want to. But I think because it is quick. And I think the other thing is I like the Leo stuff. I like his reactions. I like him going with the flamethrower. But to me, the violence that we see about him taking out Man's family of dogs. This kind of stuff we've seen already in Tarantino movies. The dog violence we've seen characters get their faces smashed in before, so it wasn't anything new. It's just kind of fun seeing Brad Pitt be high. But so that's I wanted to put it in just because it's such an enjoyable scene, but it didn't. So my number 5 is the ending of Kill Bill 1. Just that from right when she walks in there, take out all those samurais, the crazy 88s, to probably killing O-Ren. Even if you wanted to take the O-Ren death out, because that's a little change of locations, just her versus the crazy 88s, just phenomenal. We talked about in that review. It's a great way to end the movie. I think that's why lots of people that don't like Volume 2 as much is because that I sometimes question if that should have been saved, because that's just such a high action scene. You could never top that. And some great, very stylized stuff in there, jumping back and forth between color and music and eyes getting ripped out. So number 5, the Kill Bill ending there, kind of ending. You know?
I actually forgot to throw out my honorable mentions because I had a few.
Go for it.
Should I do it right now?
Go. No.
Okay.
Give me. I need another minute. So
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
just kidding.
Perfect. My first honorable mention, I threw in the end scene, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. When I left, I thought that was just one of the best scenes of any Tarantino movie. But I don't know. Once you do some, simmering and you just sit on certain scenes, you're like, it is a really new movie, so I don't want to do the older movies. I don't know, just dirty. So I took that one out. The other one was the in Reservoir Dogs, like the Tim Roth story in the bathroom with like the dog, the cop. It's just such a good scene, and I love that it didn't actually happen. Like they literally made a scene about like just a fiction story. It's just so good. Everything about that, whether it's the details of like the hand dryer, and then like all the cops just look like, I just love everything about that. So that was my other one, and then that's it. I only had 2, so
fair enough.
Yeah.
I'll the 2 you guys picked, I had them like somewhere on my list, so I'll just put those as honorable mentions. I want to shout out like the O-Ren aspect of that fight. I think is great as like a denouement, right? It's just like it's like a 5-minute long fight, as we figured out. It's nearly exactly 5 minutes long, but like there's maybe only like 5 or 6 like sword slashes. Like it's very, very minimal, but it's just like as soon as you step out in the snow, right, it's just like instant, like quiet, just like this serious tone, that water spout in the background. Like it's just a really fun ending to like that intensity that lasts for like a half an hour long or whatever it is.
Just that water thing.
Yeah.
Oh, the little bamboo.
Gotta love that spout.
So good.
Let's see. What do I have for some other honorable mentions? What I realized when I was making this list, I guess I don't know where I cut things off. I think it's so hard to do this because how do you like encapsulate a lot of like Hateful Eight or like Reservoir Dogs, where like most of this movie is just like essentially a prolonged scene in one room. Like it's kind of hard to pick some scenes in that sense. So I tried to pick like more chopped up sections, I guess, but it's not necessarily one scene. It could be a longer section. For some honorable mentions, a couple from Hateful Eight that I thought of was one, the opening shot of Hateful Eight, just like that music and just like starts zoomed in on that cross and it very, very slowly zooms out. Just sets like this really ominous tone that's like a perfect start to that movie. And then even just that whole kind of sequence at the beginning of Hateful Eight, like the en route to the haberdashery, where it starts out with just John Ruth and Obi and I guess Daisy, and then they go and pick up Warren, and then they go and pick up Chris. It's like just it sets that tone of like these characters they know some things about each other, but they don't know everything about each other. So I don't know, that whole sequence is a lot of fun. What else am I going to shout out here? I also realized when I was making this that there's a shit ton of scenes that are involving like diners or people eating food around a table. So shout out to Tarantino for making, what is something that we all do every day.
Necessary for survival.
Yeah, exactly. So in that route, I'm going to shout out the dinner scene from Django, where Calvin Candy is just entering a new world of like shitty humanness, I guess.
Like the Ben sort of like all that time, right? When he
whips out the skull.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that whole dinner scene is just amazing. The one in Inglourious Basterds that I mentioned in my characters, where Christoph Waltz is just tearing apart Shosanna, bringing out that like pie or whatever it is. Oh, wait for the cream. All this details. That's such a fun scene as well. I'm going to show out the You Shot Marvin sequence, just that whole part where they're hanging out with the wolf. And yeah, as Travis mentioned, like Vincent just being a total jackass, and Jules like trying to get them sympathy in the situation when they don't have time. And then just Tarantino's character, who's just super racist for no particular reason, but is still fun to see him in that movie. I think that's all I'm going to shout out for. Yeah, that's all I'm going to shout out for honorable mentions. Okay, so entering my number 5, I'm gonna give this one to the Lancer scene from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. The sequence where Leo is acting with I can't remember the other character's name, but Oliphant. What's his first name? The actor?
Timothy Oliphant.
Timothy Oliphant. Yeah, that character, and they're just having this scene where they're acting together. It starts out with Leo like up on the stairs, and he slowly makes his way down, and it's just fun because like the camera is emulating like what that camera would be like in that TV show, and they're like cutting back and forth. Leo's messing up his lines in a super genuine fashion, retrying his lines, and then it kind of caps off with him and his trailer just popping off. I will say it is hard to pick some from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood just because only one watch is hard. It's easier to take these notes and stuff when we're watching these movies.
Yeah.
At least I was watching them on my computer taking notes at the same time. So that's my Once Upon a Time in Hollywood scene, and it is a damn good one.
It definitely is.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to agree with you. Alrighty, so number 4, I think I'm gonna go with the end scene of Pulp Fiction, like basically that whole diner scene.
Mm-hmm.
I just love all the back and forth dialogue, whether it's with just Jules and Vincent when they're just eating, classic Tarantino, just shot when they're just, I don't know, it's just, I feel like it just makes it super authentic.
Yeah.
Like it's not like they're fake eating, like they're eating some pretty good looking food.
Yep.
And then once he goes to the bathroom, and then just like everything that happens with Tim Roth's character and Pumpkin or Honey Bunny, whatever the hell her name was, she's just, I feel like although she doesn't like, she's not a major part of like that scene, she just adds so much by just being there and just being a really twitchy, like I don't know, just
a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what it is. She's got a loaded weapon. Like it's just so many like factors are going on in that scene, and I love how
go home.
yeah, I love how that like ties into from just like the intro.
Yeah.
It's just so like masterfully done in my opinion. And I think it's such a perfect end to that story because like Vincent does die in that movie, but at the end of the movie you get to see him walking off with Jules. Like it's just so unique and creative, and I don't know, I think it's just the perfect ending to that movie. I think if they would have ended it another way, you would have been like, oh, I can't believe like Vincent died at the end or something, right? Like you almost forget that he did die in it because I don't know, he kind of gets to walk off at the end. It's just so good. I absolutely love that scene.
Yeah, they make it a happy ending even though it's not a happy story.
No, exactly.
Number 4 for me is that exact same scene.
Hey,
so there
let's
you go.
go.
So yeah, I won't say too much more, but just really intense. I think it's definitely the most intense scene in that movie, even though you got the Gimp scene in the middle. But it's just, you just don't know what's going to happen there. But then Jules takes control of the situation, and just little stuff like he lets him keep the money that he takes, and just like reach the wallet. What wallet is it? It's the one that says bad motherfucker. And yeah, it's just like such a good back and forth they have with them, even though Jules, Sam Jackson is pretty much controlling most of it. And just to add upon that, when Honey Bunny is kind of about to freak out, and John Travolta out of nowhere comes out, he has his book, and he like, Vincent, be cool. And like, how many times Sam Jackson's saying "be cool"? And like I said, I'm not the biggest big fan of all the religious stuff, but I love just the line delivery of just like I said earlier, just like I'm trying real hard to be the shepherd, and it's just Jackson, he's just at the top of his game right there. So yeah, the ending diner scene in Pulp Fiction.
Once again, we're a hive mind today. That's
hey,
my
let's
number.
go.
I wish that was on
Unity.
mention of mine. Now I could shout another one, but fuck it. Here we are. That's my number 4 as well. It's what these guys said. It's a fantastic way to end the movie in an interesting way. It's Sam Jackson at his very best. It's fun seeing Tim Roth's character just totally jaded and just like so pissed off at the scenario when he opens up the briefcase, and once again just that classic mystery, what is in that briefcase, who knows, but his reaction to it is a lot of fun to see. And then Yolanda just freaking out on the table is really fun as well. And then Vincent just like classic almost ruining the situation as he always fucking does by being hot-headed. It makes for an amazing sequence all around.
So good. All right, top 3. Ooh, I think I'm gonna have to go with the Inglourious Bastards kitchen scene, just the whole beginning stuff with Hans Landa. That really just sets the tone. Like I wouldn't say for the whole movie, but specifically that character, because like he just comes off so friendly, and then he's also just intimidating and forceful at that same time. We kind of talked about him, in our character overalls, but he's just such a like, I don't know. He's just such a force in this movie, and like he doesn't come off as just like a huge like brute type character. He does it in a different way. It's just he's super like methodical. He's super like well like read, well spoken. He's just so smart in everything he does, and I feel like it's just such a perfect way to start that movie, because they could have easily started with the bastards just fucking up, scalping some Nazis, right?
Yeah.
But it's just the way that they started that. They don't even have like any of the bastards in it. It's so good, and
Yeah.
I love, because I don't even know the exact length of that scene.
I want to say it's between 15 and 20 minutes.
Yeah, so like it's just such a good like intro, and then even when it ends, like when Shoshana is just like running away, and he just has his gun out.
Just a long shot of her running.
No, yeah, and then it's so good. I love it, because I don't know. I feel like in different movies they would have just made this character. I mean, since it's Tarantino that wouldn't have been doing it,
Mm-hmm.
they probably wouldn't have killed the dialogue like he did in that scene. But I also feel like they would have been like, oh, just headshot.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, oh, this guy's like a master of what he is, but he's just like, no, he's still human. Like when it comes down to it, and it's just so good. So that's the scene I went with.
Travis.
I went with that exact same
Oh
scene.
no!
You guys serious? That's mine too. Now the cat's out of the bag.
Yeah, it's just a great opening. It's like what Kirkland talked about. I've talked about before. Now we're kind of going into some similar territories of it tells you everything you need to be. But also, I guess I'll touch upon just the pure fear in the girls down below.
Mhm.
And what's Briggs' favorite character's name again?
La
La
Petite.
Petite.
When you just see him break down, and when he finally admits that he is protecting those girls and hiding them, and it's just, you can just see that he is scared for his life, but he has to do it for his sake, for his family's sake, but he's just so ashamed of what he's done. So from that perspective, we talk about Waltz being so good in that scene, but everyone else is really good in that scene as well. Just the back and forth, just the little details as far as, we're going to speak in English, so they don't understand us. You know, it's just like, it's the detail just put in that one scene tells you about, for the most part, what you're going to get in Bastards as far as the detail going on. So, that's my number three. Yeah.
That of a rat.
Good pick.
I don't know,
Good pick.
you guys said it all. I talked about it when I talked about Christoph. It's amazing scene. Perfect way to start the movie, because what it does, it sets up so much, right? Like it sets up Christoph's character, because you don't see him again for quite a while, right? But you know he's around still. You know he might be looking for her still.
Is the next time you see him actually when
I think-
Shoshona's at the?
Yeah, it is.
Oh
Yeah,
wow!
I think it is. Yeah, so it's a while, and then it sets up Shoshana so well, because you know she gets away, but what happens to her you don't find out until, I guess the next thing would be a bastard scene, and then it goes back to her with the theater. Is that how the ordering goes? I want to say that's
I believe so.
how it is.
Or do we meet Mike Myers kind of in the middle there too?
No,
I can't
he's a
remember.
bit later,
right, because
you meet him with Fassbender. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's Bastards.
Mhm.
Then the
So
I
either
feel like
way,
there's something in between.
It's
but, you know.
interesting, because it's kind of like Pulp Fiction in that sense, where you start this movie with two characters who don't come around until literally the very end. But in this movie, it sets up really well just the mystery of what's going to happen with those two characters, where are their trajectories, especially if so much time has passed. You don't really know what's going on. But also, it's just a beautiful shot, like at the very beginning when they're outside the house, just out in the fields and whatnot. Just a nice green shot, almost like Hateful Eight in that sense, where it's just like very cinematic landscape opening as well. So yeah, overall, perfect way to set up the movie.
Sure.
All
All right, this one I know is going to
Sure.
be different. I know it's going to be different because Travis already mentioned it. I'm going to go with the House of Blue Leaves. That's actually what it's called for the Kill Bill scene.
Oh.
All right,
The-
dork.
Yeah.
Where'd you learn that?
The internet,
He made
the
it up.
interwebs,
The interwebs.
the interwebs.
Cool.
Little Google search, little Bing search. You know,
A little this, a little that.
You can find it.
Mhm.
But no, absolutely. It was borderline my number one, but I think I had to put it number two, just because it was so like tacky and like cheesy and over the top, and I absolutely love this movie. I don't want to spoil my my rankings or anything, but just it's so great, and this one is just it's so ridiculous. Like it is so over the top. I feel like it might be. I don't know. There's a lot of over the top scenes in that movie, but this is definitely up there. Just with everything of like the dudes just like jumping up to the second floor and just I don't know, all the body parts flying off, all the blood. Like there's just so much wackiness
I
going
think
on.
the only thing that it's second to is like the stuff Palme does, like in the training
Yeah,
sections. One. I think
that's
the
volume
only
2
thing,
though, right?
But it's one movie if you ask Tarantino,
Okay,
right?
oh,
You
yeah,
know,
right.
you know, fucking,
Mm.
yeah. All right, buddy.
Fucking guy.
No,
But
but
in those two movies, I think that's definitely like that's other than Palme, that's definitely the most like out there.
oh,
stuff
absolutely.
going on, yeah.
And then I just love all the villains, how they're all in like their suits with like the mask, like they're just like a part of like that team, right? Whereas a lot of movies, I don't know, you get these just gangbangers, whatever you want to call them, and you know they all got their own style. But like this one, it just feels like an army, especially when there's just so many of them coming out, and they all got the same clothes, same masks. It's so good. I love when they do like the little lighting effect changes where it goes like I believe it goes like blue at one point and then it goes black and white. Like it's just that, like the play with that stuff. There's the super, like I already mentioned, the super cheesy things that's like there's no way someone can jump that high, but let's just keep going with it. And I absolutely love Uma Thurman's look in that scene with the I believe it's in like shouts out to Bruce Lee, right? Like that type of outfit. It's like yellow and black. Yeah,
I thought you were gonna say he's in it, but no, Bruce Lee died a long time ago.
No, it's just so good. I love that scene. Samurais, man. I'm a big anime guy, so there you go.
Number 2 for me, I've been talking about a lot. I'll talk about all the time. Is the old Ben scene with Uncle Ben, with Calvin, with Monsook, and
with Toby.
It's just such a good lead up to. Obviously, this isn't part of the scene, but just maybe the setup for the scene of I talked about earlier. Steven telling him like these guys are fooling you, and just how he walks in all slowly, and he's just like, oh, what were we talking about? And Walt's like, oh, purchasing Broomhilda, and he's like, oh, we'll talk about it in a little bit, and just shuts down Walt, and you see Walt's just so frustrated with him, and then just little stuff like puts a skull in there, and like, who's your little friend? Like, it's all nice and fun. Like everyone's just thinking, oh, he's still just good old Calvin Candy who doesn't know what's going on. And then he makes this ridiculous story about old Ben and how they don't have creativity and all this stuff. And but like I said, he's just really scary in that. And this one's just a pure Leo acting in it. It's just he is just he's unchained in that scene. No pun intended. But yeah, Calvin Candy.
That's a good pun.
Yeah. I didn't even intend it, but it happened. But yeah, Calvin Candy dinner scene.
Calvin Keen.
Candy. It's getting worse as I go along, but obviously it just progresses and just gets worse. Everyone comes out with guns. Even his lawyer there just comes out, just takes his gun and just like dickhead and just like you're jackass and like no, it doesn't, not needed. These weird little kooky things that are thrown in there, but yeah, Calvin Candy dinner scene.
Damn, good pick. What's my number 2? I know what it is. This one's going back to Pulp Fiction. This one is kind of more than one scene, I guess, but sort of a sequence. It's just the travel sequence with Jules and Vincent Vega as they're going to, I guess, where Marvin and crew are. It starts with them in the car just having just golden dialogue, which is just incredibly realistic. Them, walking over to the elevator. They go up the elevator. They're talking about foot massages. Then they get to the door. It's not time yet. They go down, talk for a little bit more. All of this dialogue is just so great and realistic. And then they go in there, and then Vincent just fucks off to the cupboard, smoking or something. And Jules is just like, hey man, just keep chilling. He has this big Kahuna burger. He has the Sprite. That whole sequence is amazing because it's their first scene. It really establishes them as like friends, but also co-workers. It shows how it's kind of like they're just kind of having some fun, but then they can really get down and serious. It's kind of fun. They call back to that scene later in the movie when you find out there's a guy who was in the other room the whole time. It's a fantastic. It's the best scene between those two, and that's like they have so many great scenes together. So I think that goes to show.
Yeah, so good. Alrighty, my number one scene.
Number one.
This is
favorite Tarantino scene.
This is a heavy one too.
Yeah.
So Pulp Fiction. I feel like,
okay.
Following the lines. Okay. And this is not that scene, actually. Those are great scenes. I probably should have threw them in my honorable mentions. But
There's too many.
But I also could have thrown in probably every scene in an honorable mention. But this is actually the scene when Mia's overdosing and Vincent takes her to the drug dealer. And just everything from when he gets there, because he's on the phone with the drug dealer. He's like, don't take her here. And then you just hear tires screeching. He goes over the door, opens it, just car crash into him. And then just all like the chaotic just stuff that's going on in that scene. Whether it's just like the drug dealer yelling with his wife about like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Like, what's he doing here? And then they're like running around trying to find a first aid kit. The house is just so messy. And just from the point when Vincent just stabs her with that needle, I found out thanks to the retro that it was actually in reverse. But it is a very forceful looking like puncture, and I think just everything about that scene, I'm just like smiling the whole time. It's just so chaotic and just so fun. It's just like middle of the night and he just slams into his house with his feet. Like it's just so it's so good.
Me,
yeah, you really feel the urgency.
Yeah, no.
Scene, right? Exactly. How much fucking Vincent's freaking
Yeah. And I love just like the drug dealer's look. He's just like, I don't even know if he's wearing pants, but he's just got his robe.
The Big Lebowski
vibes. Totally
yeah.
Big Lebowski vibes. But I absolutely love that scene, and I had to throw it at my number one. It was borderline with the Kill Bill one just because I love that movie so much, but I just had to throw it in there because the whole scene from start to finish, I'm just like, oh, this is amazing.
It's a great shout out.
Good one.
Thank you.
We're on number one.
Number uno.
Yeah, mine
Juan.
is also from Pulp Fiction. It was Kirkland already showed earlier. It's the diner scene with Jules and Vincent. I talked about that already in the characters, talked about the rankings, but it's just I like that chemistry back and forth. They just have some good fun dialogue, some serious dialogue. You found someone really special and you just shut the fuck up and sit in silence. Like that's something I've always had in my life as like a little motto when I saw that movie. And I guess
wasn't that your number 4 or 5 or something?
No, 5 was the diner scene with Jules and Vincent at the end.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah,
and what's
the
this?
ending. This is the Benny Hills taking me out for like a
okay.
date.
Sorry. I thought I heard Jules in there.
Take
Yeah,
her
me
out?
too.
Like, take her out? Take her out? No.
I'm gonna rewind. I think you said Jules.
Yeah.
What?
Let's
I
rewind.
say?
Did you say Jules?
I don't think so.
Tell us fans.
Yeah, tell
I'm
us
a big
fans.
fan of that scene, and yeah.
Good one.
Sorry, we
You
totally
kill the momentum. It's
I'm
fine.
so sorry.
It's whatever.
You can kill my momentum.
I'm so
if you want
sorry,
to.
sir.
This one is definitely the longest scene, but I'm sorry. The scene feels like it's 10 minutes, but it ends up being, I think, like 40 minutes long. But it is the tavern scene from Inglourious Bastards. What's so great about this scene is, one, it's just like, once again, that realism where you have these characters just talking, have this conversation where they're trying to stay on the down low, and then you just have the other table of like just drunk soldiers who all feel like very realistic as well. I think this scene is so great because this scene's filled with characters that you don't know. Like, you know Hugo Stiglitz, that's like the one guy you know, but you don't really know much about that character. He's more of a name. But that's like really the first scene with Fassbender, Hammersmark, and that, I guess, the German officer. I'm not sure if he's an officer. I don't know what his role is, but the guy who's chilling in the other room and then pops out when he hears some faulty language. So the fact that scene is like 40 minutes long, kind of just like right there in the middle of the movie.
I actually didn't know.
And you don't know like any of these characters, but it's still like captivating from start to finish. This scene has like expert like cinematography, the way it switches around, the dynamics of like every little piece of dialogue the guy in the back was like listening to the whole time. Then he's kind of like picking them apart, but he does it in that kind of like Hans Landa way where he's having some fun with it by like starting a game and then like slowly breaking down. And yeah, it's just such a fun scene. So
It
good.
is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great one. I actually didn't know it was 40 minutes long.
I-
That kind of blows
I
my
wanna
mind.
I don't
wanna
think
say
it's
it is.
actually 40 minutes.
From the time they walk in to like by the time
Leo!
Aldo Rain is like talking to the guy, I feel like it is like a very long scene. It's at least a half an hour, I want to say.
It
I'll have
definitely
to look.
feels shorter though, like just like what you said though.
I mean, maybe
just,
it is. Maybe I'm completely
like
wrong.
the
I'm going
flow-
25 minutes is what I'm going.
I'm gonna look it up.
That's still pretty long.
I'm gonna
though,
look it up.
Yeah.
for one scene.
But, I didn't say it was not a long scene. I just said I don't think it was 40 minutes. And
you're like,
I'll look it up.
It's a little too
I'll look
short.
it up.
It's two
Look it
fuckers
up.
over here.
I'll look it up.
Hey,
We are ranking the movies now, correct?
Yeah, sure.
So let's just start with the easy pick. Jackie Brown is last for me. Not a bad movie, just nowhere near the tier of Tarantino. Like I said, I don't feel like there's Tarantino-isms in there. There's performances like Sam Jackson where you can feel, oh, this is directed by QT, but I just don't. I don't think it's there. I think it's kind of it's a sophomore slump. Even though Reservoir Dogs happened, it feels like that. Pulp Fiction, he's on this high, and then I don't know what the deal was, but yeah, Jackie Brown. The most part, this whole rankings for me was easy. I think I've just went back, and I won't reveal they were, but I always go back and forth between Kill Bill 1 and 2 because they're very close, but the rest of the movies all were very easy for me to rank, and Jackie Brown was very easy to put in last.
Yeah, the way I did my rankings, I had a lot of trouble with this. To me, it was like that middle pack that was the trickiest thing. But to me, I kind of have like, I have them ordered, but I do kind of have like 3 tiers to them. So the first tier or the bottom tier, these movies are good with some great scenes, but I just don't get a whole lot out of them. And there's some fun stuff, but like not really movies I want to rewatch. Bottom one is Jackie Brown. There's nothing that needs to be said about it. It's fine. There's some good. There's some great scenes. There's some really good acting, but as Travis has mentioned before, it kind of feels like an imposter. It feels like someone's trying to make a Tarantino movie, and I think that's kind of the way I see it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm same thing. Jackie Brown. I feel like just if you look at the length of our Jackie Brown retro, you can kind of figure that we
and the fact that we didn't mention it for characters, scenes.
Yeah, not even honorable mentions. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's exactly what you guys said. It's like it's not a terrible movie, but at the same time, when you have a list of 10 amazing movies, and then I don't know, you need to take this movie and then throw it somewhere.
It's got to be somewhere.
It's
right?
got to be somewhere, right?
Someone's got to be.
Someone's got to be at the bottom. And sorry, Jack Brown, but you're at the bottom.
You're that.
Mm-hmm. I like the mall stuff in it, and I like Sam Jackson. So there's some positives.
Sam Jackson
Yeah,
really good.
we
I
like
love
that
the
scene
lead
with God,
Chris Tucker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that scene. It's a fun
Yeah.
scene.
So that was 10. Number 9 for me is I wish I could have put it at 8 because it would have been fun, but it is The Hateful Eight. You can go back to the review. I can say other than Jackie Brown, I'm a fan of all these movies. So when I'm about to say I'm not a big fan of Hateful Eight, that's in comparison to his other work. I would watch Hateful Eight over a lot of movies we've had to review over the years. But as far as his other work, just doesn't really do it for me. I don't really connect to some of the characters, but some fun dialogue, some fun set pieces, but definitely the one I've watched the least. And when we did again for the retro, I was like, I don't think that's going to change for me. So number 9 is Hateful Eight.
Yeah, I'm curious because we had a lot of similar things for characters and scenes. I wonder how these rankings will go other than Jackie Brown.
I think they'll be pretty
a little
different.
Mine is definitely quite a bit different. This one's also in that same tier with Jackie Brown. This is going to be Kill Bill Volume 2. I was hoping that a second watch of this movie for the retro would make me like this movie a lot more, but I think the key reason why it just kind of falls by the wayside for me is because the character of Bill just doesn't have as much impact for me as it does you guys and I'm sure most other people, which is unfortunate. And then you also have Michael Madsen's character. I can't even remember what his character's name is, right?
Isn't it?
But
Yeah, it's a pretty generic
Yeah.
classic sort of name. Yeah, he does his section of the movie doesn't really feel like an antagonist to me. He's a little bit boring, and maybe that was the intention, but it didn't really work for me. There is definitely some great moments in this movie. Don't get me wrong. I love the scene with the the Spanish guy.
Yeah.
I can't remember any of the names from this movie apparently. And
oh God, what is his name?
yeah, what is his name? And I love the stuff with Elle. She's a really fun villain as well. And yeah, so there are some good scenes, but overall doesn't have an impact for me. And so many of these Tarantino movies, like these rewatches, have been so beneficial. I've discovered new stuff with all of them. With this one, it was more just like remembering the movie. I don't really feel like I got anything out of it on a second watch, so it's going to stay down there at number 9.
My number 9, I went with Death Proof. It's funny, the bottom 2 movies were the 2 that I actually saw for the first time, so maybe that's why they're, other than Jackie Brown.
And Once Upon a Time.
That is, okay, yeah.
So
You definitely caught me. I am fake news, yeah.
I am fake news.
But,
I am.
No, it's so hard, ranking Tarantino movies, because it's just, there's so much quality in there, and then when you're trying to put some over the others, for me, these bottom 2 is just, I don't know, they just kind of were there from when I first made my list. I think it's just, I don't know, I feel like there wasn't too many characters that I grasped onto, because it's just Kurt Russell was the villain, which I really liked his look, but obviously I didn't have him on my top characters list, so he wasn't that memorable to me personally, but it's a great movie and everything, but if I'm comparing it to the other ones, I got to put it there. So that's my number 9. I went with Death Proof.
His name was Esteban.
Yeah,
I'll follow up same thing. Death Proof. I like the horror aspects. I like Stuntman Mike. I like some of the girls in there, but it's a pretty basic one. I think you'd probably say it's his most basic film, and I think he meant to do that. He was going for that grindhouse sort of feel, but I think it kind of shows that way. And I've said, because he was making a basic film like that, I think this film actually would have really benefited if you cut some time down. I know that could be some weird reworking of the script and whatnot, but lots of these grindhouse movies and whatnot, you had some longer ones, but horror movies are usually that hour-half spot, and I think he could have really ramped up the intensity there, and I think it would have been fun to see Tarantino doing I love long movies, you know me, but seeing him do an hour and a half, see what he would have to kind of constrict himself to do. But yeah, Death Proof for me, number 8.
Fair enough. So we're going up a tier now. That was to me was the bottom tier. This next tier is I love all these movies. These are all great movies, and honestly, this batch was to me my very top picks were pretty solidified, and I can say those with pretty high certainty. But this middle, I started making this list a couple weeks ago, and every few days it's just been getting shuffled around. So honestly, you could ask me next week, and it might be a little bit different, but. As of today, July 31st, 2019, I am going with Kill Bill Volume 1. So, yes, it's only one slot above Kill Bill Volume 2, but it's a whole tier above it in my mind. I loved this movie. I got so much more out of it the second time around, and I wish the second volume did it for me as much as this one, but I think Oren is just such a strong villain. It's just such a strong endpoint to build towards throughout the movie. The aspect of Uma Thurman just literally pulling herself out of a coma and just can't even move her body for a while, and just all this torture that she's had to go through. It's such a such an intense journey, and then it's capped off with just an amazing like half an hour long fight scene that's just super over the top, but is super fun the whole time. As Kirkland mentioned, you get like weird color shifts as she pulls out someone's eye, and then the colors come back, and then they go just like blue and black. Yeah, it's just a really fun movie overall.
Right on.
Number 8.
Number 8.
Well, are you on 8 or 7?
I'm on 8.
He's on 8.
You started.
He started.
Right.
Yes. So I'm glad we did that order. I'll explain later on. I think we're in our top 2, but I'm gonna go with Hateful Eight as my number 8. This movie, I really enjoyed it. This was another one that from start to finish, this was the first time I started watching, because I cannot speak. So from start to finish, this is the first time I watched the whole movie. There we go. Killed it. But I really like this movie. It's definitely like I feel like I would kind of call it like a slow burn of a movie. Like it doesn't start with a lot of action, but it definitely gets to that point where there's just guns ablazing.
Fucking Beyblades, let her rip.
Yeah, let her rip. But there's a lot of characters that I just really love in this movie. But again, it goes back to when I had to hold on to some other Tarantino movies and compare them to this one. It was like, I don't know if I can justify myself putting these ones below it. So, and I feel like it's fitting. Number 8, Hateful Eight.
Yeah,
I feel like it works. So
that's what he was going for. He's trying to make it his 8th best movie.
Whoa.
Woof. That's when he was selling it to the producers.
This reminds me, Kirkland, when I make like an average of what the movies are. You never sent me your MCU rankings. Dylan did, Taylor did so long
ago. You sure?
Yeah, I'm positive. So, get that to me in the future.
Get it to me or ask me after this.
I will. So yeah, this is definitely, we're at lucky number 7. This is where I'm going to probably, I have a feeling, walk away from the pack a little bit. Putting Bastards all the way down here at number 7.
Wild.
Love this movie. Tons of good stuff in here. It's just, I was talking about this with Clay earlier today, that I think everyone has those movies that everyone just praises, is widely loved, and you just go, you know what? This just is not, I just don't see the same things. And I see all the positives, but for me, I think some of the positives aren't as strong as for other people, as I've talked about before. I feel like there's some kind of inconsistent character choices. I think it's a little long. And I'm honestly not a big fan of the Shoshana, like Daniel Bruce storyline. I think it goes on for too long. I just don't care as much as the other stuff happening in the movie, but still an extremely well-made movie. Some great acting in there, some really fun times, and you got one of the best villains of all time. So that is definitely, if there was a tiers, this would be like the up tier. Like this was a new tier for me, but Bastards at number 7.
My number 7
Thanks,
is
Kirkland. He sent me that list. There you go.
I had it made. I don't know
Only
why I
2
didn't
months
send
later.
it.
I had to.
Oh, fuck off! You didn't ask for it.
There's record proof.
Back to this particular ranking. Number 7 is going to be my vote for Death Proof. I think this one maybe isn't higher just because of kind of what these guys said. Like, it is a very simple movie, and I think it's literally just that. I don't think you get like as much goodness that like these other movies. You don't get like really in-depth characters. You get like really fun dialogue, but you don't get like the depth of some of these other characters. Maybe you don't get like, I don't know, just that great dialogue or something, but I still love this movie so much. I feel like it's like a guilty pleasure. That's how I feel like when I'm watching this movie, because it's just so over the top. It's so wild. It's so like intentionally kind of like goofy in that way. And maybe it's not goofy. Maybe it just feels that way because I'm not familiar with the genre, but I like how genuine it feels between like the grainy nature of like the film they recorded on and how there's like missing frames. Feels really consistent in that sense. And I love how it's just so over the top of, you just get this like essentially characters talking for like 50 minutes and then they just like die and that's it. That's how the first half goes, and then you kind of have the second half, which is kind of a more optimistic storyline.
The redemption tale.
Yeah, it's just such a fun movie, and Kurt Russell is so much fun as Stuntman Mike with his icy hot jacket. He is icy hot.
He is icy hot.
I love that movie. Yeah.
All right, number 7, correct?
Yep.
I'm gonna go with. I'm actually gonna throw in Reservoir Dogs here.
Resi.
It's tough, like seeing it that low on the list, but again, keep going back. There's certain movies that for me at least I just enjoyed them that like a little bit more than this one, so I had to put it. I had to go somewhere. I had to put it number 7, and but yeah, no, we've already touched upon it. Check our retro for all my hot takes on it, but it's just such a great movie. But I feel like maybe there's just not many like backstory to these characters. Maybe that's why I like the other ones more. Maybe it's just I don't know. I don't know. It's tough. It's just it's an anomaly, but it had to go to number 7. So Reservoir Dogs.
I can tell you feel bad about these.
I do. I really do. It's like when I look at my list, I'm like, how can it be so low? And then I look up, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. But no, I absolutely love Reservoir Dogs, but it's his 7th best film.
There you go.
Number 6, Kill Bill Volume 1.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll talk about that more in a little bit, but this is definitely the more action heavy. Love all that stuff. It's kind of the origin of the bride. In a sense, we get more of that in Volume 2, but as far as her waking up from the coma, just some good kind of revenge kills going on, and yeah, really good. I think the only knocks I've only had on it before, sometimes I think it goes a bit too over the top, but at the same point, he was going for that, so I understand. But yeah, at just right below the top 5, Kill Bill Volume 1.
We're on number 6, right?
Yep.
So this might be maybe a surprise. Well, not surprising if you listen to the retro, I think, but maybe surprising overall. Number 6 for me is going to be Django. Not quite making it into the top 5. This is a damn good movie. It's awesome to see Christoph Waltz again in a fun character, not on the tier of a Hans Landa, but still really, really good. Jamie Foxx as Django is definitely, possibly, I'm gonna say he is the most badass like Tarantino character. It's the outfit, it's the look, it's the way he like talks to people when he chooses to talk. Right, he's very selective when he chooses to. I think the reason why this one falls a bit lower to me is because every movie above this is like I don't really there's not like a dull moment to me. Like I love them from start to finish. Whereas Django, as we talked about on the retro for it, I feel like the first, maybe not first half, maybe like first third or quarter of the movie is a little slow for me. I'm not super into it, and I think it's just like there's a lot less dialogue in this movie than other Tarantino movies, and that's kind of my favorite part. Yeah. But then it's so hard for me to do that at the same time. That's why this one as well, like it was a lot higher, in a couple other renditions of my list, because that back half is amazing. Like as soon as you get introduced to Calvin Candy, the movie just takes a total different direction, and it's just so much fun. It's so you don't know what the solution's going to be. You don't know if his wife is alive. You don't know if they're going to get out with her alive. You don't know what's going to happen to any of these characters, and then it's topped off with like a classic Tarantino over-the-top action scene, which, to me, that one, I think, compared to his other really long action scenes, that one doesn't do it for me quite as much as a Kill Bill action scene, something like that. So I think that's why it falls a little bit lower out of the top 5, but still a really, really good movie.
Certainly is. Number 6. This one probably hurt the most out of all of them because it's not quite hitting that top 5. But I had to go with Kill Bill Volume 2. I think it's just like the little snippets of slow / like kind of a weaker character parts, like Bud, for example. Like he's just another Michael Madsen character, right? And for me, it's not like
raspy boy.
Yeah, it's not like it ruined the movie, but it's just like in Tarantino, I'm so used to these like just super like like dialogue heavy characters. Yeah, captivating characters. Whereas he just kind of has the look, and then the classic Michael Madsen lines, just raspy voice. I don't know. There's just not much to him. It's definitely like the slower one of the two, because like Travis said, like the Kill Bill Volume 1 just has so much more action, and which I'm not saying that like takes away from the movie. It's just it's a different tone, and I don't know. I had to put it somewhere.
You did.
And
you really did.
But like I absolutely love the Bill character, so it is tough like putting him so low when this is the first time we actually get to see him on screen. I think anytime he's talking to the bride is just so good, and I love that end scene. It's definitely one of my favorite scenes. Like honorable mention. It wasn't quite top 5 because there's just so many good scenes in these Tarantino movies. But yeah, that one definitely hurt the most. So not quite top 5. Number 6, Kill Bill Volume 2.
Well, I'm in my top 5, so I must love it more than Kirkland. No, yeah, kind of what we've talked about so many times. The first half is definitely a little shaky. It's not a bad movie. There's just Bud's not an interesting character. If you listen to retro, I'm not a big fan of the Pal May stuff. What?
Pai Mei.
Pai Mei, thank you. But for me, when I go, that is quite weak. But then the back half to me is stronger than anything in Kill Bill Volume 1. I love action as much as the next guy, but unless you're the portal scene from Endgame, I'm usually going to take character stuff. And whether it's her interactions with Bill, whether it's her finding out she has a daughter, and you still got some great stuff with Elle Driver and that trailer and whatnot. So you got your action fix there. But for me, the crux is really Bill. They're back and forth as far as they both know they're gonna kill each other, but they're both giving her this moment to just watch a movie with her daughter. There's no tricks. There's no he has a trap set. It's nothing like that. That's what I love. There's no like mustache twirly. He just legitimately wants to find out like why she left him and stuff like that. Like it's very basic human needs in this very fantastical world, and I love the dynamic of those two characters. So that's why it got the top 5. So as a whole, I could probably say Kill Bill Volume 1 is better, but it's just like I said, that back half has the most things I love in the Kill Bill franchise, higher than even the Oren fight, stuff like that, because I love character building stuff. So that was my number 5.
Good pick.
Good pick.
My number 5, I'm taking it back to the very first Tarantino movie, Reservoir Dogs. This movie, I think the first time I saw it, it didn't hit me as much as I wanted, possibly. But then watching it again, I think I've seen it 3 times now, I want to say. It's definitely a movie that gets better and better every time. It's just like, goes to show how on point Tarantino was from like the very beginning, because that was still like early on in his career. He had worked on like a couple movies to that point as far as I know, but this was, obviously directorial debut and writing at the same time, and he just fucking nailed it. Like it starts with just that classic diner scene that we've mentioned how many diner scenes tonight. But yeah, just that starts with that scene where it's just like this panning shot of just the dogs talking. You get to kind of get a little bit of each character. You have that conversation about them talking about tipping, which is just a fun, like classic Tarantino realistic conversation thing. But then it's such an interesting heist movie. It's the most unique heist movie I've ever seen, because you never see the heist, right? It's about the aftermath of it, and it's about the aftermath, like 1 hour's worth of aftermath, and only that hour. And it's such an interesting perspective to take on a movie like this, but it's such a fun ride throughout. And then the way it ties, like the non-linearity of it is really well used, in that just kind of throughout the story, just when you need backstory on a character, it cuts to a sequence where you get 5-10 minutes of just their story. Like Tim Roth's is obviously, I think, the highlight, but it's fun to see how all the other characters maybe knew each other before in the past. And yeah, it's such a strong movie, and the fact that was his first movie ever is pretty insane.
Yeah, no, for sure. Alrighty, top 5. Number 5, I'm going to have to go with Inglourious Bastards. This one almost went number 6 because, I'm just super Kill Bill fan, but I think it's the Hans Landa stuff. It just definitely carried in the top 5 for me, because he was just such a powerful character. I already mentioned him, however many minutes ago in our character list, but he's just so good in it. And then you throw in there just some great acting from Brad Pitt as Aldo Rain, these little Gorlami sequence. It's just a fun movie, and obviously it ends in a definitely like a more positive note than what history tells. But it's just such a fun ride. There's so many interesting characters, whether they're just very flat basic, like my boy Hugo Stiglitz. I absolutely love that guy, just for like what we see on screen, because we never really find out what his backstory is, or like why he became who he was. He's just, I don't know, he's just a German that killed Nazi officers, and it's just so many like mystery stuff like that I think I just love so much. And it's definitely a long movie, but it goes by quick for me. It's a really fun one, and I've definitely grown to like it more and more every time I've watched it.
Number 4 for me is Reservoir Dogs. Dylan was just talking about it. Yeah, I love crime movies. That's why I'm a huge Scorsese fan. And you got all the basics of, you got a crime organization, a mini one, but still you got it there. You got a heist. You don't see the heist, but the movie's about a heist, and just the description of the heist, the fallout of the heist, and then you also got the cops and robbers aspect in a way that obviously I've seen it many times. But when you see it the first time, you don't know who's what. You don't know who's the rat. You don't know who the rat. You don't know who's the cop or things like that, and it's just this kind of great little it's like a present. You just slowly keep unfolding it and unwrapping it and unraveling it till you get to the very end, and just like a shocking shootout. And it's I think it's kind of close to Death Proof, where it's his most basic one, but I find there's a lot more richness in this than I do in Death Proof. I think because this is more laser focused, where Death Proof kind of has like a part 1 and a part 2. This is all about the heist and these characters, and how this affected them, and how they got there, and how they're dealing with the situation. And also just great performances all the way around. Michael Madsen, I think probably his best performance, even though that's not saying too much. Harvey Keitel's great. I love him as the Wolf, but still he's got some meaty stuff in here. This is easily Tim Roth's best role. Even got Chris Penn in there just being like a little smarmy little asshole. So Reservoir Dogs at number 4.
Good pick.
Absolutely.
My number 4. So this one's interesting for me. I was expecting going into this retro that this one would be a bit lower, because every time I watch this movie in the past, I've had like I felt like a couple of sequences feel a little bit slower, or I'm not totally captivated. But that took a total 180 when I watched it for probably I want to say fourth or fifth time for this retro, and that is Hateful Eight. I watching this movie again, like, for the podcast, like with all my attention on it, I was just like captivated the whole way through, and I discovered so many more details I've never discovered from this movie in the previous times I've watched it, because I don't think I've ever watched with that close of an eye. But it's just so much fun watching the different characters in this movie and finding out like the different layers to them. Like some of them maybe know each other in the past, some of them kind of have to align with each other because that's the only option they have. It's fun seeing the pairings. Like obviously John, Ruth, and Daisy are kind of paired off in this movie, and you get Warren and Chris who kind of end up pairing off, even though at the start they were very much on opposite ends of the spectrum. And it's just a really fun murder mystery for me. And I was really surprised to have it this high going into this retro, because it is a long movie and it definitely feels like it, but to me it just had like full impact. That length really added to the suspense of it. Watching it this time around, I thought it was really interesting. And also just the cinematography of it. Obviously they took it with that wide lens, which is really interesting to kind of get so much detail and such a realistic set. And then, obviously there isn't really a whole lot of set pieces, right? It's just like essentially the haberdashery and then like the weight of the haberdashery, which, as I mentioned, was one of my honorable mentions for top scenes, because that's just such a fun dynamic getting introduced to all these characters. And then the music on top, the original soundtrack, which Tarantino doesn't really do that often, but it works so well for this movie, just making like that ominous and kind of unsettling tone to it. It makes for just a really, really fun story.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Good pick.
Thank you.
Alrighty, number 4. This one was interesting because it easily could have been top 3, but only seen it once, so I didn't want to put it any higher. This is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. We go check our review, cheap plug, but I absolutely loved it so much. Gave it a solid 10 out of 10. And like I said, like the only reason I don't want to put it in top 3 is just because I want to see it more, because the other ones in my top 3 I've definitely seen more than once and have liked them more and more. So who knows? Maybe if I watch this movie a few more times, it could definitely be in the top 3. But no, it's just so good. We've already mentioned just the chemistry between Brad Pitt and Leo is so phenomenal. Leo is just, he kills it as his role. I kind of rehashing what I said in the review, but it's just like there's moments in this movie where I don't even feel like I'm watching Leo. I feel like I'm watching Rick fucking Dalton act as another character, like Caleb DeCoute or whatever his name was in that scene. It's just, he's so phenomenal in it. Everything about that movie I absolutely love. So that's my number 4.
Top 3 here. So this was another one. Like I said, Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2 were tough to decide. This was the next one that was really tough to decide. Do I go with one that I've loved for a long time, or do I go with the new kid on the block? And we'll see. Might regret it in the future, but as right now, I'm putting Django Unchained at number 3. I honestly think this probably, I've said this before, Pulp Fiction is my favorite movie next to The Dark Knight. It's a movie that I could stop, or not stop, but I could watch it right when it's over. But for some reason, I still throw up Django as the most rewatchable one. I can just plug it in at any point. I think just because it has that adventure aspect, it has an action, it's just kind of everything. And up to that point, he has done action. You look at Kill Bill and whatnot, but with the Western, I liked this Western a lot as far as the way he tackled it, the world building, everyone around in it. So I just think it has a great pace for like almost a nearly 3-hour movie. And I've always said this, when movies are long and I love them, I really love them. So Django Unchained at number 3.
With my number 3, we're jumping up a tier. So that middle tier was just a bloodbath. It was really much a Tarantino battle of just like who's going to take out who.
Secret Wars.
It was going back and forth. And now obviously this one, my number 3 is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and this is where it's tricky, like, because this is my god tier. These are like perfect movies. These are movies that at least the other 2 on my list. At this point you probably have figured out what they are, but those are like easily my top 10 like movies of all time. Not Tarantino, just all movies. Possibly even top 5, at least for one of them. So I don't know. It's so hard to put this one in that tier with them after only one watch, but I really just feel like it's gonna like get possibly better on the second watch, if not stay just at like that golden amazing tier that I loved it at so much the first time. As Kirkland said, like Rick fucking Dalton is just, as we all mentioned earlier, right? It's just like the most dynamic character, I would say, the most depth that Tarantino's ever done, and it was so much fun. Leo kills it. Brad Pitt's character is just like very much to me like the Aldo Rain in terms of he's less over the top, but he is just like a very kind of chill, simple kind of guy, but really badass at the same time. Just so much fun on screen. But this movie just has so much like great cinematography, great shots. It's weird. I like how creepy it is with like this cult aspect to it, and it's a movie that I just can't wait to rewatch, honestly, because I think, as I've said before, like, you know, I watch these movies, I always discover new fun details. I appreciate an actor's performance more. I notice some little script thing I didn't before. I feel like this one, you know, obviously I've only seen it once, but I am almost certain that it's going to have that effect on me, and I can't wait to watch it again. And I'm considering going to see it in theaters. If I was going to, I should have done it before this cast. So I might not now. I might just wait till it hits Netflix, Plex, whatever it is. But yeah, I'm so happy that movie exists.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait to see it again. All right, number 3, I'm going with The Free Man, Django Unchained. Basically, what Travis said, this is just such a rewatchable movie for me. It's just so fun. I think it's just mostly like the dynamic from you got Django, and he's just like one of the most badass characters I've ever seen in a film. And you throw in Dr. King. I love seeing Christoph Waltz as like a good guy too, you know, because I feel like he's kind of got that bad guy effect following Inglourious Bastards. But
definitely.
He's just, I don't know, he's just such he's got his morals and he stands by them, and he's such a great character in this movie, I think. And then, you know, you got the bad man, Calvin Candy. He's so like impactful in like specifically like the latter half of this movie. He's so like menacing and scary. He's got those nasty teeth. Just basically everything Travis said in his character breakdown. He's just such a crazy character. And just, I don't know, you throw all those things in one fun bag and you get this great movie. And I just love it. I love like the musical notes. There's certain songs. There's certain songs that like all they're saying is just like what's going on in the scene. Like it's so funny. And but it's just such a great movie. You know, it's covering like a dark time, kind of like what happened in Inglourious Bastards, but it's just Tarantino does it in such a good way. It's funny, I'm kind of noticing a pattern. Same thing with like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He covers another like really dark time in history, but he just makes his own little take on it. It's just so masterfully done. And gotta tip my hat to him.
Number 2, second place, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's a tough one because I don't think it was ever going to replace Pulp Fiction, but I remember, and I said this on the review, so it's a little repeating, but I just remember walking out of it just being like, if he does retire, this should have been his last one, because I don't want to throw the masterpiece word on it, but it is, or maybe it is just for what I like. All the sensibilities, all the things I like in the Tarantino movies are there, but at the same time, it's a completely evolved, different type of guy handling this film. I'm sure he's the same guy, but the way he's going upon this feels different, and not a Jackie Brown where it feels like something's off. Like I said, it feels like he's evolved, stepped up his game. The film aspect, I'm a huge film buff, so whether it's shout outs to kind of some meta stuff in the current day stuff or in the past, I love that. And I just remember the first 2 minutes in this movie when Leo's meeting with Al Pacino and they're showing his bounty law, and then they just 5 minutes of this movie and this and that. I just loved every single thing about it, and it's a movie that I didn't want to leave that world also. Check out our full review. We just did that recently. But yeah, number 2, it could change, but I don't think it would ever reach number 1, but it might be like a 1B one day, because it's just, I remember walking out feeling so satisfied and loving it, and even stuff that I was unsure about, growing more and more on it. So yeah, that was number 2 for me.
Number 2 for me is going to be Inglourious Bastards. I fucking love this movie so much. You know, as I mentioned in scenes, like that opening scene is just one of the greatest like movie scenes I've ever seen. The tavern scene as well is just like mastercraft of like the script, the writing of all these dynamic characters in this scene, but also just like the camera angles, the shots of it. Like every scene that Christoph Waltz character Hans Landa is in, it just has such a presence that's like unlike any character I've ever seen. But I think this movie is also so much fun because it has like comedy aspects to it. Like Aldo Rain is more of a comedic character with like this over the top accent. You get like the Antonio Margaretti, right? That whole Italian scene is so good. But also just when I forget their names, but the Dominic DeCoco and Antonio, I always forget like the
Bear Jew.
Yeah, they just have so many different names in this.
Yeah. Donnie Donowitz
when they're just like in the bathroom prepping, and they get like that little like hand cannon, and then just like the slow mo as he runs up and like punches the guard. so good. I love this movie from like start to finish. I think it's crazy how there's just so many characters, so many dynamics in this movie. where you have like a tavern scene, which is just like a bunch of characters you don't know, but it's still like so much fun. But then you have characters that you know and like seeing their journey or where they've come and how terrified Shosanna is just in this world, and the ending is just like this fun like alternate history, yet it's super over the top as well. How many times does it cut back to Hitler's face just getting like,
just
shot to
spaghettified?
pieces? Yeah, and then I agree with Travis in that the Shosanna and Daniel Bruhl.
We never remember his name.
I can't remember any characters. You know how many names we've said on this cast?
And they're foreign too, so it's tough for us.
Yeah,
it's uneducated Canadians.
Yeah.
I think that like I guess you could say third of the storyline, or like that dynamic of characters isn't definitely not as exciting as like a Christoph Waltz, as exciting as a Brad Pitt in this in their role. But I still really like that story. I think it is fun to see. I think it's kind of interesting how he's just kind of like this. He feels like he deserves something, and she's just not giving him the time of day. And you know how it kind of culminates in that ending scene they have, which is just like so opposite to where you have just another shot of like 100 Nazis like burning down, and then it's just like them kind of killing each other just in like this frantic kind of moment. This movie, like by far, I think maybe not by far, but up there with what obviously is my number one. I get the most out of a rewatch every time I discover like so many details about this movie, and oh god, I just love it so much. It's got the acting, it's got the writing, it's got the cinematography, it's got the pacing, legendary pacing. It's for sure in the god tier for me, and possibly a top 5 movie of all time, at the very least top 10. So it's up there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Great. Sweet. All right. This is, I did some foreshadowing earlier. I'm glad that we went in this direction, because my number 2 is actually Pulp Fiction.
Oh.
So this one's tough because this is the god tier movie. I feel like it's so good on so many different levels. It's so rewatchable. There's so many great characters in it. There's so many great scenes. There's just so much stuff that goes on. I feel like this is just such like a masterful like example of like messing with the chronological order of scenes, and it's just done in such a good way. And like I said, I'm glad that we did it this way, because I know what your guys' top ones are, so we can kind of all talk about it at the same time. But it's just such a great movie. I definitely just have some like biases going into my number one. So once I get there, I'll kind of explain my reasoning for that. But it's just, this is honestly, it's the same thing with Trav. This is probably my 1B. Like honestly, it's so hard to like separate these Tarantino movies, because they're just all like good handful of them are the god tier. Like if you want to go through Dylan's tier system, it's just they're just so good. And I love this movie. I love the music, like just from the intro scene of the diner with Tim Roth and Honey Bunny, and then it just cuts to I forget what the song is, but it's just so fun. It's just such like a fun intro to the movie. It's just great. It's a great movie. So yeah. Number one.
Yeah, number one, Pulp Fiction. I guess the reason why it's number one, I've easily seen it the most times, but even something like Once Upon, after I've only seen it once, I walked out and, oh, the Sharon Tate stuff, how was that? And then even with Django, that last gun scene, I go, that's a little too over the top for me. It's still just like super little minor, I could say, complaints or issues that I might have. On Pulp Fiction, I don't think you'd have to go back and listen to the retro. I think you would have had to like really just pull up my nails to get one from me, because I can't think of anything that I would change, anything that I was displeased about that movie, whether it be length, whether it be acting, whether it be character, and even stuff like Butch. I'm not a fan of Butch the character, but that's on purpose because he's just kind of a piece of shit guy, and we follow him for a little while, and he kind of gets a little redeemed, and that's what I like. Even the things that I don't like about it are kind of things I'm supposed to not like about it, or maybe I just don't connect with that character, but none of them are cons. I just love it. Soundtrack, acting. I have my favorite scenes from Pulp Fiction, my 2 favorite characters from Pulp Fiction, so it was kind of a foregone conclusion. This one was, like I said, there's other great films. I love Django. I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but nothing is top this. And even then, it just has that kind of magical quality about it. It's probably just because it's been around so long, too, and, you know, it just kind of feels like there's never going to be a movie made like this again, so... Pulp Fiction, number one.
Yeah, that's clearly my number one as well. I don't know. We've talked about it a lot, so to not repeat, I think you just quickly mentioned Butch, and we didn't really talk about him earlier. Yeah, he's not... I don't think he quite has the intrigue of some of our other characters we had in the top 10 for the Pulp Fiction cast, but the dynamic between him and Fabian is so much fun. I love all of their scenes together. She's just got like this really alluring impact to her as well. Not in the tier of Mia, but she's up there as well. It's very interesting. And then even like that weird scene with the Villalobos. What's the first name of that character? Like the cab driver.
Is it Venezuela?
Oh yeah, no, I don't know.
I don't know. I can't remember. Esmeralda.
Villalobos.
Let's go. 2 points to Dylan.
Yeah, really, just every scene with Butch is great. It's not to knock points off of him. Like that just goes to show how perfect this movie is. Yeah, I think this one stays number one for me, and definitely up there, possibly my favorite movie of all time. This is the first Tarantino movie I ever saw, and I remember when I did, I was like, I've never seen a movie like this before. At the time, I don't think I would have been able to really describe why. I think after doing this podcast for so many years, you kind of think about so many movies that you can come up with ways to describe why you like them. But at the time, I was just like, wow, this is such a unique movie. I've never seen anything quite like it, and that still stands to this very day. As you mentioned, like the way it's paced is really interesting because it's not like a Memento where you're trying to put it all together in like some complex way. It's just like really fun. They just do it to make the ordering of everything. You're never bored, right? Like from scene to scene, you're always interested. And you're like, oh, I forgot about that character. Oh, they're back now. And go back to our episode on it. It's like, I love that movie.
There's so many good like pop culture references to it.
Yeah.
Like if people seen the movie, like they know. Just like the stuff with the suitcase, it's
loaded,
so good,
loaded with detail. And as I mentioned with Reservoir Dogs, like the fact, like his second movie, the fact that he just hit it out of the park that much is a testament to how much
insane.
of a genius Tarantino really is. It's quite a movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Alrighty, my number one, Kill Bill, Volume 1. This movie, this is definitely the most rewatchable, I think. I mean, it's tough because it's probably tied there with Pulp Fiction. That's why I said I wanted to call it my 1B, like Pulp Fiction.
Mm-hmm.
But this movie, I had to bump it up just because all the factors from badass samurai killing, you got Uma Thurman looking great in it. She is just a force, like just carries both movies. She's so great. The
anime sequence?
The anime sequence is so amazing. And now that, like, I don't know, like, I feel like when I first watched the movie, I wasn't really, like, watching anime. But, like, at the same time, I just loved it so much because it just felt like a cartoon. But obviously, it's got that Tarantino violence aspect to it. And it's just, like, you could have different movies that it feels so random. But at the same time, it fit, like, that scene so well because they're basically telling the tale of this character. But instead of just having like a actor portrayal of it, it's just like an anime sequence, and it's so well like animated. I'm pretty keen on like my animations, especially if you watch a lot of anime. I don't know, you kind of get picky sometimes, but it's just so good. I love O-Ren, the character. She is like, it could be Kill O-Ren. That could be the title of this movie, and I would absolutely love it. But it's just, she's such a good like end movie villain, even though she's not like the top villain, right? There's just so much stuff in this movie I love. The soundtrack's so good. I remember just the first time I watched it, and when she pulls up to the first chick's, I always forget her name. The chick with the daughter.
Green.
Yes, thank you. And she's in like,
that's at least close.
She's in the pussy wagon truck, and I just remember I was watching with my dad. I'm like, what the fuck is with her truck? And he's like, just wait, just wait. It's just like, there's just so many weird things that happen in this movie, but when they explain them, it's just so fun, and it's just so good. I absolutely love this movie. So yeah,
damn good pick.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We ranked all the movies. Now we're going to do kind of our dream rosters here. Now, when we do, Dylan, I'll let you pick as far as you want to pick returning or new. Do you just want to reveal your 5? Or are we going one by one? What are we doing?
I think we go one by one because I think it's a bit quicker. Okay, but I think it'd still be fun.
Okay.
Can you pick which one we're doing? New people or returners?
We're gonna do returners. So the way I did this is I kind of tried to pick people who had like smaller roles in some of his movies, or maybe people who haven't been around like lately.
I did the same thing. I don't have like a Leo or a Christoph.
Yeah, because I felt like Leo, like I don't need another performer. Like I have everything I need from him. Don't get me wrong. If he gets cast in the next one, I'm incredibly excited. But
I agree.
I just went for some characters that I would love to see back, who maybe didn't get the time of day, or maybe just have like a smaller role.
That's what I thought. I picked people that I thought, well, you know what, Leo already has to me not one but like 2 perfect roles. So it's like if he doesn't get cast again, I'll take it. But I'm like, I'm not gonna be disappointed. You know, I pick people that, other than one, I kind of want maybe not. I wouldn't say a redemption pick, but just want to see some more. But there is one. I'll admit that I picked full on just because I want to see more of that person. So,
my first pick. This is in no order, obviously, or maybe not obviously, but for me, there's no order. For me, I'm gonna go with Fassbender on this one. Fassbender, if you listen to the podcast a lot in the last couple of years, you've heard me hate on him quite a bit. And I don't necessarily think it's his fault, but when you have movies like Assassin's Creed, you have movies like fucking Alien Covenant.
We did the podcast
You have
after his
movies
glory
like-
years. You missed all the
Yeah.
years he got nominated for our Academy
Yeah, I know, right?
Awards, and
You have movies like Dark Phoenix. Like, to me, he's...
not
he's-
his fault.
Yeah, exactly. Like, these are not movies that it's his fault or, like, bad acting. It's just, like, scripts that haven't been so generous to him. And I know he's a really good actor. And his role in Inglourious Bastards is, like, pretty minor, right? He's only kind of in, like, one... I guess you could say, like, 3 separate scenes, but really only one prolonged scene. But I just really want to see another really good Fassbender movie, and I know Tarantino could bring that. Whether or not he has, like, once again, a smaller role like he does in Bastards, or if he became a bigger character, a more protagonist, I'd be down. I just really, like, I really want to love Fassbender again. And I need just a really... maybe I should just go back and watch, like, Shame. Watch some of his
Shame,
classics.
12
Yeah.
Years a
That's probably
Slave.
what I should do to get my fix. But,
Yeah.
yeah, I really just want, like, a strong Fassbender performance. Bring him back to the limelight. Give him that Oscar.
Make
You know, just do it
Fassbender
all.
great again.
Now
Yeah,
he's
make
doing-
Fassbender great again.
He's doing
seriously.
some fucking movie called Kung Fu Fury with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, let's
It's
do
like,
it.
I don't know if it's him or his agent, but someone needs to change his career
Yeah.
around. They
Yeah.
gotta
Bring
hook,
him back.
hook him
Hashtag
up with
save
me.
Fassbender.
Hook him up with me. I'll figure out his career. Like, fuck this stuff he's been doing lately.
Yeah.
Alrighty, same thing. I went Fassy, Michael Fassbender. You know, he's just such a phenomenal actor. I don't know. I don't want to rehash
Sure.
everything you just said, but
We want him back.
We definitely want him
Tarantino,
back. He, you
bring
know,
him.
he wasn't a major role in Inglourious Bastards, but I love the scenes that he was in, and I know he can bring it.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, same thing. I kind of had them in order, but we're already talking about right now is Fassbender. He was my number one just because I know what he can do. I think that the case is kind of gone now, but I think at one point from about 2010 to 2015, he was the greatest actor of this decade. And then these past few years, well, maybe it's his fault if he's accepting some of these scripts or whatnot. Even myself, as I have him in the Man Crush, I love, like, that's a guy I might run away with. But the unfortunate thing is, he's just been in some bad stuff lately. So I'd love Tarantino. That's exactly how John Travolta got resurrected. Was he had a big career, he was kind of a teen star, and then Tarantino was just a fan of his younger work. He's like, I want to try to I want to put him in some
He's
stuff.
like, this is a good actor. He just needs the right script. Right?
Exactly, and he revitalized his career. His career is nowhere near Travolta level because Travolta was like a B star at that point. But yeah, I would love to see Fassbender, and like I said, he has the capability of being one of the greatest actors in the world.
Mhm.
So I would love to see him in Tarantino. Really do, because I love seeing. It's like kind of him in Bastards is like a fun Easter egg, but he's not in it too much for me to really enjoy. You know, it's like, and we don't get a sense of who his character really is. He's just a guy there on a mission. It's not like a Jules or a Vincent or anything like that where you learn their personality. So yeah, Michael Fassbender as well. So let's see what else we have.
Gucci.
My next pick, probably not terribly surprising. I'm going with Steve Buscemi, Mr. Pink. Yeah, he's technically, I guess, in Pulp Fiction, but really, as Kirkland said earlier, it's pretty much just a cameo. But as Kirkland also said, he's in his top 10 characters, and I think that's a great pick. Like, he's such a fun character in the movie. He really plays that like asshole character, but it still is like dynamic. I love Steve Buscemi. I think he's great. I think he's got like just an iconic look, an iconic voice. You know, he kind of can pull off some creepy vibes, but he can also be really serious when he needs to be. And I don't know. I can't really remember the last movie I've seen with Steve Buscemi in recent times. I feel like I haven't seen him in a while. But I think one of my other favorite movies is Big Lebowski, and I feel like that honestly could be a Tarantino movie in the sense of just like the amazing dialogue. And even though Steve Buscemi in that movie is like one of the smaller characters, I guess you could say, I still I'm picturing a character like that, like bring back Donnie from Big Lebowski and just plop him in a Tarantino movie. And I mean, if you haven't seen Big Lebowski, spoilers, he dies in that movie. But, you know, do like a prequel or something. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I would love to see Steve Buscemi in another role.
That's a
Yeah.
good pick. That's an honorable mention for me. That's a good one.
I don't really have an order for my list, so I'll just go same thing. Steve Buscemi I had.
Nice.
I feel like maybe this is just me being ignorant, but I feel like some people kind of see him as just like a kind of like a weird or like comedic actor, but like if you take away like the Tarantino role, especially like the Mr. Pink, but like he is such a great actor, and I feel like I've just grown to love him a lot more by watching like Reservoir Dogs again. And
Have you ever watched Boardwalk Empire?
no, I
You
haven't.
should watch that show.
Yeah,
Great
is he
show.
great in it?
HBO, 5-6 seasons.
HBO,
Oh, it's a TV show.
Thompson, he's a criminal mobster.
Holy,
yeah.
I really got to check that out
Damn.
because I'm
Yeah.
I'm a big Steve Buscemi fan.
Charlie Cox is in as Daredevil.
Oh,
Oh,
Charlie
wow.
Cox! I got to see
Charlie,
that
let's
guy.
go.
Yeah.
Let's go, Charlie.
Yeah, but no, I need him back. I know.
Need 'em.
We just I don't know. I feel like we were kind of talking about him before once upon a time. It's just like that one actor that we want to see him again because he's just so good as Mr. Pink, and obviously he wouldn't be playing the same character, but he just showed his acting chops in that movie, and clearly I don't know. I haven't seen enough with him in it, but I want more because he's so great.
Well, in your world though, he's busy playing Hobgoblin, so he might not have time.
Honestly,
unless
it's so
Tarantino's
funny.
directing the next Spider-Man movie. You know?
The funniest thing is when Dylan said, I can't remember the last thing he was in, I'm like, he played Hobgoblin. Oh, wait, that was in my head canon.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good pick. So I'll pick somebody that, you know what, maybe he could be his son in a movie. I'm going to pick Bolton Goggins because, you know what, he did get a good showcase in Hateful Eight, but that's still just such a big ensemble. I don't know where I'd want to put him, but he's just such a versatile, like, utility belt actor where he could be a villainous character, he could be a hero again. I don't really care where it would be. I would just like them to put him in, and I'm a big fan of him in Justified. So Walton Goggins, just also because I just want more people to appreciate Walton Goggins, and
Yeah.
he has the Fassbender thing where he's a great actor, but he just gets put, like, even Ant-Man and Wasp was not a bad thing, but it's just like if I had, that's, you know, I love Feige, but if I got an actor like Walton Goggins, I wouldn't have been like, let's make him this B villain in Ant-Man and Wasp. Like, no, that guy's playing that guy's playing Green Goblin. Like, that guy's playing someone big in the future, you know? So I'm always disappointed that Tomb Raider, the G.I. Joe movie, which sucked, but still, like, every time it seems like this could be a huge, like, mainstream role for him, it just doesn't happen. So more Walton Goggins in my life, the better.
That's a really good pick.
And he's in some weird CBS show now. I'm like, oh no. So
I agree. He's going to be my next pick as well. I want to see more of him, right? Because I haven't seen, what's the show?
Justified.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. So for me, like, I've only really seen him in the two Tarantino movies, in Ant-Man and the Wasp and Tomb Raider, where, you know, a couple of those aren't
not showcases.
quite on the tier of at least him in Hateful Eight, because even in Django, it's like it's a very small character.
He's a racist goon.
He's a gangbanger.
Right? Yeah.
But
Hillbilly.
I think most
Hold
on
now.
this most recent rewatch of Hateful Eight is when I got the most out of his character. I just thought he was so much fun. Like he definitely had layers in the sense that he had like this intimidation factor to him where he's like, is he the sheriff? Is he not? It was kind of like this fun dynamic. But then he also is kind of just like a doofus at times. He's kind of stupid. But then he also can just like switch the power over in a second. And I don't know. I just want to see more of that actor, honestly, is where this comes from. Whether or not he's like another bad guy, which is all I've seen him in, or if he switches it up and makes him more of a relatable character, a more protagonist or something. I'm not sure. But I would love to see this character in just any other role where he could really like let his colors shine, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm saying him and Steve Buscemi, father-son
Let's go.
combo. That looks good on paper.
I could see it. Because Steve Buscemi's getting the gray hair now.
Yeah, so
he's
it could
getting
happen.
older. So.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing. I actually didn't have him on my list, but I just remembered how much I loved him in Hateful Eight, and I had to throw him on there. So, sorry, Christoph Waltz. I took you off my list.
He doesn't need it.
No, exactly.
You already got him two
He has
Oscars.
Hans
got two
Landa. I
Oscars.
didn't put him on my list. I don't need anything.
Exactly. No, he went off on a high note. But no, this character, I feel like certain actors kind of get like plagued by like being known as that villain type character, and I feel like that was definitely him for me because I was just like, oh, that guy's an asshole. But it's not like the actor is. It's just like those are the roles he gets casted in, and I feel like he kind of just gets stuck in that pool. But watching Hateful Eight, he definitely I don't know, like I wouldn't call him like necessarily like a villain in that role. He's just, I don't know, he's kind of like a neutral character because he could be a villain, but then at the same time he claims he's the sheriff, so he could be the sheriff, but we don't really know throughout the movie. And then he's like, I don't know, it's just really like a classic Tarantino-ism where it's just like you don't really know the full story there. But I definitely want to see more of this actor, and I don't know, I just wanted to see him in kind of how Christoph Waltz went from Hans Landa to like Dr. King, right? Like I want to see him in a different role like that because he has been in a few Tarantino movies, but I feel like going from like Django, which obviously is like a villain in that, but like going to Hateful Eight, he's kind of a similar type character because it is still like cowboy like type like Western.
Cowboy.
Yeah,
everyone's
exactly.
like an antagonist depending on how you look at it, right?
Exactly. So I don't know.
Except for Obi.
Except for
Rest in
Obi.
peace,
That's
Obi.
right. He was a real one. But no, I've really grown to like Goggins, and what's his first name?
Walton.
Wal-
Everyone says
Walton.
Walter. It's Walton.
Walton.
Walt with an O,
Yeah.
like
Walt-
wonton almost.
Walton
But
Goggins.
Walton.
You got it.
Walton Goggins. But yeah, no, I definitely want to see more of that guy, and I feel
Fuck
like
these guys.
I feel like Tarantino would be. I mean, obviously we've already seen it, but it's just such a good fitting for him, and I want to see a great role with that guy.
So I am going with this one because not necessarily she gave a bad performance. I just think because it's gonna sound like it's bad. I just think she did the best with what she got, and it could have been a little bit more. But I'm picking Margot Robbie because obviously big showcase as Sharon Tate, but it's almost kind of even lesser when we talk about Mia and Jules and Vincent. And then you have Butch over there. That's her, but to a much lesser extent, she has maybe 10 lines of dialogue, not even. All her performances are with her face, her reactions, and she's supposed to just kind of be this something to tribute Sharon Tate or just something, a symbol, right? So I'd like to see her do an actual performance because I think she's just come a long way. Because I remember Wolf of Wall Street happened, and then she got cast as Harley Quinn, and everyone's just like... And I had lots of faith. You go back to Suicide Squad, that's one of the only things I really praise in that movie. And I think she actually should have won the Oscar for I, Tonya as well. She is, I think, one of, if not the best actresses right now. I think people don't give her as much credit because she's just like... She's a babe. She's really good looking, and people kind of go to that first. It reminds me a lot of, like, Brad Pitt or Angelina Jolie.
Oh.
I added Angelina. I went a little Walton Goggins there. Angelina Jolie. But a little. But yeah, like I feel like because she's just such a good-looking, charismatic person that people go, oh yeah, it's just, and especially Wolf of Wall Street. You can't blame
the nude scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nude everything.
Woo.
So like you kind of everyone fell in love with her
It's
that
getting
way
hot in
first,
here.
but.
It is.
I
really
think
fun.
with Tarantino, you look at what yeah.
Tarantino!
I'm on a roll, man.
Stop talking.
If you look at what he did with someone like Mia Wallace, I think he could do that for Margot Robbie. I think the Sharon Tate was just a step, and I hope this was like just the start of a relationship. I know he says he's only doing one more, but I would love to, whatever that female role is in the 10th one, and if there is one, I think it should go to her because she is somehow, I think, still underrated. She does not get enough credit.
Yeah, I watched a couple interviews. They seem really close.
She really campaigned. I can't remember who she talked to, but after I told you, someone set them up because she was really campaigning hard to get in that Tarantino movie. So yeah, she is, and she's a big marketable star. She got Birds of Prey coming out next year, so
Yeah.
she brings in money as well too.
Right.
She's kind of a 4 quadrant.
Yeah.
Maybe little kids don't like her, but other than that, what's not to like about Margot Robbie? So
Mhm,
Margot Robbie is my pick in a more media role.
Of all things to connect my character to yours, a character who's also an actor who's also in Birds of Prey, I'm going to go with Mary Elizabeth Winstead,
Oh yeah,
who was a very, very minor character in Death Proof. It's just like this cheerleader who has very little dialogue.
she's
but
a porn star.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
That's what they play it off as. I like her and everything I've seen her in. I think she's really talented, and particularly in 10 Cloverfield Lane. I think is really when I was like, oh, okay, she's actually really good. Like other things I've seen her in, I've liked her, but I've been maybe like lesser movies. But I think in that one is really established that she's like really good. So I wasn't disappointed when I saw her in Death Proof, just because I love that movie so much. But I definitely, when I rewatch it, it's like, oh, I kind of want more from her just because I think she's so great. So that's an actress I'd like to see come back and do something with a little more meaty of a role.
It's funny that I did Margot and you did Mary Liz Winstead because the kind of the code name for Birds of Prey is Fox Force 5. That's what they're
Right.
filming under.
Yeah. That's
so
funny.
It's kind of
That's hilarious, actually. First of all, I'm just gonna say, damn you, Travis, because you pushed another person off my list. I'm gonna have to take Margot Robbie as well. I don't know. I feel like she's almost like a female actress that's kind of in like the prime. Like she's like she's at that age that I don't know. I don't know. I feel like she could just take like any role and just kill it. Like I, Tonya, she's
still
iconic
super young
in it.
Too.
Oh yeah, and
18.
No,
I think she's a little bit older
Don't
than
do
that. But no, she's just so phenomenal, and something that I feel like I was kind of just lost, like not linking the two together. Like she's such a perfect fit for Tarantino, and I feel like I kind of had that same kind of effect of like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where I was hoping that she would have more lines. Like we I think you kind of talked about it on the review, but it was just like I don't know. She just has that like that look that like almost speaks for itself. Like Travis said, she's super attractive. But she's also just such a phenomenal actress, and She's so good at accents because like I didn't know that she actually doesn't have like an American accent.
No,
Like
she's Australian.
Yeah, she's Australian, which is crazy, and it's like
Thick,
a
too.
thick Australian accent.
yeah.
And then going from like that to like a Wolf of Wall Street, where she's got like that killer Brooklyn accent. And she's so good at it. And I forget what the movie's called, but there's another one where she plays like a Southern chick, and she has like a I don't know like a just
Is Chris Pine in it?
yes.
It's Z for something,
and
right?
Yeah, yes.
And Chiwetel Ejiofor, right?
Yes,
It's
and
Z
then
for
yeah,
Zodaway
is
or
that the dude from 12 Years a
Z
Slave?
for
Yeah, 12
Zenzada?
Yeah. It and I don't remember much of that movie, but I just remember like
She's great.
I just remember noticing that she's so good at accents, and I'm like, that's insane. I feel like Tarantino, you know, there's a lot of movies where he throws in some accents.
Yeah,
and I feel like she'd
Hans
be
Landa style, to make her have like 5
speak
languages.
Italian, yeah.
Italian.
But no, she's
Z for Zachariah.
there we go.
There you
And
go. Let's go, Zachariah.
I'm a little disappointed in myself. I didn't think of that first, but you know,
That's what I'm here for.
the one I had on my list was Uma Thurman. You know, she's a little bit older now, but I just love her from Kill Bill.
In
and
her
I've-
prime.
Exactly, in her prime. But yeah, no. So shouts out to Travis for reminding me how great Margot
She's
Robbie.
a firm honorable mention on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have another honorable mention, but I'll save that. at the
Well,
end.
you brought her up, so I got to. I'm going Uma Thurman. That's the only like
Ooh.
big time return. Obviously, we got The Bride, we got Mia Wall, so that's the only one that goes against my criteria. Just because it's been a while, obviously, like Real World stuff, they had a little bit of a falling out, but now they're kind of back together. They were doing red carpets together. They've been talking about Kill Bill Volume 3. I don't necessarily want Kill Bill Volume 3. I'm not opposed to it, but I'm not saying like, oh, she has to be back as the bride. I just want whatever the film to be, to her to be in it. Yeah, they just have good. Both roles, iconic roles in my opinion. He worked with her daughter, so you know what? Maybe there's some fun you could do with having those two together in a movie.
Yeah.
You know, maybe put Margot in there. I don't know what's going on.
Walton
but
Goggins is the uncle.
yeah. Steve Buscemi is the grandfather. You know,
Just a big family.
Pam Grier is the
It's Hateful
grandmother.
Eight, but they're all family.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just one of those because I look at everyone. Sam Jackson, I always want Sam Jackson. There's a fun Easter egg, but we've had enough. Not had enough, but I mean, like, if we don't get any more, it's fine. Leo, Pitt, Waltz are kind of that wagon of they've done these perfect roles. To be honest, and he's an honorable mention. The one I would love the most is John Travolta, but I feel that, and this sounds like a shot against him, I don't think he has the quality of acting anymore to be in these type of movies. I'm very excited for some Stalker movie coming out later this month that we're probably going to review and commentate track for, but I just don't think, I think it's like athletes. I think he's lost a step, but really I would love him to be in some sort of role, but Uma still has it going on, so I would love to see her come back and be back with QT.
What was the last thing she was in?
With him?
No, the last thing that she did it for acting wise.
Oh, no idea.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, she kind of felt the
sounds
map
a
for a little. Not felt the map, like she
Well,
didn't like.
Tarantino stuff was definitely her biggest stuff by a large
for
margin.
sure.
Yeah, I feel like the last movie I remember her doing was that like My Superhero Ex-Girlfriend or whatever. It was her.
Oh.
It was Luke Wilson, I think, and it was Anna Faris, and she's like, the whole deal is this guy breaks up with her, but then he finds out after she's a superhero, and it's like really awkward. And you know, she made a great Poison Ivy. Let's see.
Batman and
That's
Robin.
the thing, hey?
Rubber lips.
I want to watch that movie.
We're gonna commentate when the Batman comes out. So there you
Give
go.
it to me. I want to.
She's doing a lot of TV right now.
Okay.
So there you go, Chambers. I think just because she just kind of, I don't know, just kind of
Waiting
fell
for that
off.
next Tarantino movie.
Nymphomaniac. That's a movie.
She's
alright.
she's the manager for her daughter. You know, she's getting her in Tarantino movies. That's
Exactly.
a pretty big thing.
So that was my fourth returning pick.
Wasn't that your fifth? No. Are we on our fifth
I
at
went
this point?
Fassbender, Margot, Walton, and Uma. No, I got one more, and I just bumped this person
Because I did Fassbender, Buscemi, Walton, Goggins, Mary. Okay, no, because I'm on 4. Did I go first?
Yeah, you did.
Oh, I thought you went first.
No.
Okay, I'm confusing myself.
Come on.
Come on.
So this one is tricky.
Angelina
This one's
Jolie.
tricky because, you know, I thought about Uma Thurman, thought about Christoph Waltz. I thought very, very strongly about Tim Roth because he's never been like the main
Yeah.
character. I'd love to have him as like the main guy. But instead, I'm going to go for another kind of low-key pick. I'm going to go for Rosario Dawson, another Death Proof alumni from that same half of the movie, I guess. But I've grown to love her from watching the Marvel Netflix shows as Claire, even though she was more in the earlier seasons than the later seasons. Kind of unfortunate. She was also a voice actress in Dishonored 2, so you know I just have mad respect for her overall. But she's just a great actress. Even in that movie, she has a really good performance. But it is, you know, kind of a different type of performance. That whole movie is really. So
yeah.
I would definitely love to have her back. And I think she has a pretty big role in that movie, so even an equally sized role would be good enough for me. But yeah, I think she's great, and I'd like to see her in more big time stuff because yeah, other than Death Proof and those Marvel Netflix shows, I haven't really seen her.
You should go watch Mallrats. It's a Kevin Smith movie. It's about nerds and comic books. She's a love interest in there.
Okay.
Pretty good.
I'll check it out.
Show was her big break. So
I'll add it to my list.
Mhm.
Alrighty, this one.
Final pick. Make it good.
First of all, I got to shout out, honorable mention. I almost had Sam Jackson on my list because basically what you said, it's just a dream. I want to see him. I want to see him in every Tarantino movie, but you know he's
busy.
He's a little busy in
Being Nick Fury.
Being Nick Fury. It's a busy life being Nick
Check
Fury.
out our Spider-Man Far From Home review.
Yeah,
Avengers Endgame, Marvel Retrospective.
And Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
This one might not be the most popular pick, but she just really showed her talent in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is
Okay, yeah.
Julia Butters.
Okay,
So
thank goodness.
the child actress who played I think it was Mary Bell.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And I don't know. I just feel like seeing a child actress that's able to, I don't know, just deliver on like the Tarantino dialogue like that. I was so blown away. Like I was like, that is like she's talented. Like that is impressive. She's like 10 years old.
Yeah.
I don't know when the next Tarantino movie is. So I'm assuming she'll still be like a child actress. I don't know quite how old she'll
3
be.
years.
At
He
least
usually
3 or
takes a
4,
little
yeah.
break.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I
Especially
feel
if
like
he's doing Star Trek and stuff. Maybe a
boy.
while.
some Zorro in there, Django.
Yeah.
But
So she'll be like 38.
Margot
No.
Robbie will play her mom.
Yeah, why not? I'm in. But I don't know. I just feel like she showed a lot of potential, and he probably wouldn't use like the same child actress.
Well, he hasn't really used.
It's kinda-
child actors
I know,
in
but-
I think that's always been a thing with him, just because the dialogue
Just
is
in Kill
like.
Bill, really.
he
But
wants
she
good
was
acting,
able
yeah.
to carry it, and like I would totally be down to see her in another Tarantino movie. I just thought probably the first thing that anyone has really seen her in, because this is just biggest movie of 2019. I heard she didn't even know what like Tarantino was, or like before she got
Not
that role. So
surprised. I feel like it's not something you show your kids.
no, absolutely not. She probably wasn't able to see this movie, but no, I just thought she did really good, and I think it would be really fun to see her. And I don't know where, like, what type of role she'd play. Obviously, I guess she'd play a kid. I don't
Walton
know.
Goggins' daughter. Well, Steve
Steve
Buscemi's
Buscemi's
grandfather.
grand-
Yeah, whatever this movie is, we'll pitch it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I would love to see her in there again because she just really showed her acting chops in that movie.
So my final pick for the returners, Jamie Foxx
Ooh,
was bumped just about 10 minutes ago.
He
But
threw me a loop.
10 minutes to talk on Jamie Foxx, just because I love Django. That is a big showcase, but that guy is an Academy Award winner. I think I would love to see him in a Tarantino movie, but play the villainous side, just to do something different. I think he could do it. So down the line, I hope we see them work together again. I'm kind of surprised we haven't. I know that he tagged him in because Will Smith turned down the role. So not that he was a backup, but he kind of was a backup to be like, hey, Will Smith dropped out. You want to be in this? We're friends. So I'd love to see him make a role like, hey, I'm doing a role specifically for you or something like that, because Tarantino wrote Django with Will Smith in mind. So and they're good friends, so I would like to see that. But yeah, this just jumped in my brain. I don't know why I didn't think about it till now. A movie that I'm easily most disappointed in, but I would love to see Michael Keaton get back with Quentin Tarantino, because I love him and Jackie Brown, but to the extent of just because I love Michael Keaton, I feel like he's kind of a little bit wasted in that, just because he's such a good actor, and especially these past few years, since Birdman, since Spotlight, since Spider-Man Far From Home, he's had this Keaton Science, and I love Michael Keaton, the OG Batman. I think he could do some really great stuff with Tarantino in a meatier, juicier role, not just a cop, which, like I said, he wasn't bad in Jackie Brown,
It's like
but
5-10 minutes of screen time.
yeah, Michael Keaton is a powerhouse of an actor, and I think Michael Keaton, it's a little biased too. It's just he's someone that deserves an Oscar already, and I would love to get that on his mantle. So that's
Did he not for Birdman? I thought
no,
he
he
did.
lost Eddie Redmayne.
Ooh.
Yeah, why do you
Not
think-
what you want to
Your
see.
favorite Harry Potter character,
That's why I
right?
have
Not what
such
you
a
wanna
hate
see.
on, because he did not deserve that for that role. So
And that was
Yikes.
that's
That's
the
a
theory
good
of
pick.
everything.
Yeah,
when I play
okay.
Stephen Hawking,
He was
but-
he was an honorable mention on mine as well.
yeah, I'd love to see him.
I don't
so-
think I just think I didn't want to represent any Jackie Brown.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't have that much.
Chris
support.
Tucker. Yeah.
alrighty. So we're
Tucker.
going into
Your news.
my wants.
Oh, you're going once.
You wanna go
Yeah.
first?
I guess I don't get to go.
I think that's
once,
the
it's
order,
fine.
right? It went
Yeah, I never get to go again, so that's fine. Go ahead.
yeah, that's the way it should be. You have the
Yikes.
best chair, so there we go.
That's true.
All right, so this one, I had a couple of little asterisks in there because I wasn't sure if we were doing I don't know if I mentioned on cast, but it was
No.
just I wasn't sure if we were doing characters in their prime or like right now that like realistically could be in that movie. So I'll just quickly shout out. I had Danny DeVito in there. I know he's a little bit older now, but I just think he would be so like fun and like.
DeVito.
I just feel like he'd be
That's a wild
so
pick.
fun
That
and
is a
wild
wild
in like a
pick.
Tarantino movie. I don't know. I'm a Danny
Matilda
DeVito
era.
fan. And then I have Joe Pesci as my other one.
Okay.
That's a good
He's
one.
actually casted
Home Alone
in The
era,
Irishman. So
yes,
Yeah,
that trailer
yeah,
just dropped
yeah.
today. I'm very
yeah.
excited.
So I don't know. I kind of thought he was done with acting, but clearly not.
He was. So, quick story. He originally agreed to do The Irishman, and then he backed out, and then Scorsese talked him back in, and he's like, I really need you for this movie. He did retire like a decade ago, so it's going to be his first
Has he
and
not?
last
He hasn't
movie.
been in a movie in 10 years.
Nope. I think he was. I
Damn.
think he appeared in a cameo in One Thing for a Friend, but not in a Joe Pesci starring.
That's
in.
crazy.
So it's just that's the power of Scorsese. We're getting a Scorsese and Tarantino movie in the same year, and Dylan
Yeah, when
must-
does that come out?
fall in November. So I think you got to brush up on some Scorsese. I'll give you some ones to watch because.
Wolf of Wall Street is amazing.
Oh
so.
yeah. I'll give you a couple. Goodfellas is
I need to
Goodfellas
catch
and
up.
Departed are two, and it's some good Leo stuff going on.
It's funny.
so.
There was like side by sides between the Goodfellas and like shots of the trailer from this movie. It just looked really similar.
Nice.
It was kind of funny.
So Joe Pesci, that's a nice one, yeah.
Yeah, and then this one, like I'm not saying he's not in his prime, but unfortunately I found a better one to knock them out. So I actually had Joaquin Phoenix.
Okay.
Oh, he was in my honorable mentions.
Yeah, so I had to bump into the honorable mentions. So that being said, I'm gonna start my number 5 pick, the man, Adam Driver.
Great pick. Yeah.
Yeah, he
Great pick.
is he's a powerhouse. I'm gonna
Kirkland
let.
just won with that pick. I don't got any pick to top that.
Really?
Damn. No,
You
I
didn't have him on your list?
No, I completely forgot about
What?
Adam Driver.
Was he on your list?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I
He's
don't
one of
know.
my bolded picks, but I'm not going to pick ones you guys picked, so I'm not going to pick them now. So
okay.
it's all yours.
No,
Awesome.
that's one that
Exclusively Driver.
Wow.
take
I-
away all my picks and give that. That's a great one.
I feel good with that one now. But
Yeah.
no, he's just such a phenomenal actor. Black Klansman,
Black
so
Klansman,
phenomenal.
Kylo Ren.
I think there was another show too.
Logan Lucky?
Logan
He's
Lucky.
so much
Yeah,
fun in
he
that
kind of
movie.
played a weird character in that. But
Yeah, it's
it was
almost
just
like
fun.
Tarantino-esque comedy.
Totally.
Or something, right?
But he's so good, and then he got the Star Wars roles in there. That hot bod with his no shirt
Hot
on.
bod.
There's
Yeah.
a movie coming out later this year. There's a divorce drama with Scarlett Johansson, which I'm very excited for because I
Oh,
just think it's
wow.
a very different type of pairing, ScarJo and Adam Driver. So
I feel
and
like
think
she's
it's on
like
Netflix,
I feel like
too.
she's like 25 years older than him.
no. She just-
25. Holy.
Yeah,
shit.
that's wow.
That's an entire
That was
Walton
started as
That was
a
an
Goggins
white
right
guy.
there.
exaggeration.
So-
Sorry, what's that?
She just started acting quite young, so it feels
How old
like
is
she's
she?
older. But
30? 30?
I think she's like early 30s.
And how old is
that?
Adam
No,
Driver?
she's like 37.
How old's Adam Driver? 17?
37. Come on, you guys.
What?
Keep talking. I'll have the ages once you're done.
Okay. But yeah, I didn't really have to add any more. He's just such
She's
a phenomenal
34, not 37.
That's fucking
actor. I
close,
didn't say
dude.
37. I
That's
said
no, it's
33.
not. That's
I
close.
said 33.
That's 3 years.
and he's 35, so he is older
Holy
than her.
shit. God damn, Adam Driver.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't know that. All
Great
right.
pick.
And,
But yeah, he's just. I think he would be really fun with like an interesting dialogue.
Oh, yeah.
And then you throw in, Steve Buscemi as his dad or something. I
Yeah,
think it'd just be-
Wollongong's and brothers. Yeah.
God.
With
yeah.
what's her name as the daughter. And
Yeah, and I also feel like he's just become such like a well-known actor, and I feel like Tarantino's gonna scoop him up. So if we're doing a superhero draft, that'd be my star pick.
Damn.
Oh yeah, that definitely. Yeah, Adam Driver. I'm very excited to see his career after Star Wars. That guy is just a beast. So that's a great pick. I'm gonna start with the obvious. Well, here's some honorable mentions. These ones I just have all the time because they're man crushes. But Hugh Jackman, just because he's done Wolverine, I'd like to see what he would do. I don't think he would ever be a main role, but maybe a side character. This guy I always throw in, but Mads Mikkelsen, just like he's the GOAT around here. Hashtag save Hannibal. And this guy was on here for quite a bit. But I did bump him earlier today. Was Michael B. Jordan, just because I got a big heart on for him, and he's just a really good actor. And you
Big
talk
hard on.
You did talk about him doing cool characters. Michael B. Jordan is just cool in himself. So, and just because of the hype, I'd throw Tessa Thompson in there because Creed, and then the last one too, Joaquin Phoenix. I had him. I think he's just gonna be on fire after
Yeah.
Joker. So I'm doing this first pick though. This is the obvious one I talked about on the Reservoir Dogs one. Sean Penn. I still, like I said, I ranted about. I still don't know how they haven't worked together. He gave him the idea of the title of Death Proof. He worked with his brother in his first film. So to me, it's just always been strange that clearly they're friendly. They've had a past relationship through family and whatnot. So, and he is a 2-time Academy Award winner, and he is just, he is easily one of the best actors of all time, not just of a decade, of all time. So, yeah, Sean Penn. I'm always dumbfounded. Anytime I hear announcements, I'm like, why isn't Sean Penn in this movie. You know, even in a smaller like the Wolf role, you know, something like I don't understand how it hasn't happened yet. So I'm fingers crossed for this last one if that's the case. I don't think if it's Star Trek, I don't think Sean Penn's gonna be popping up. But everyone watch Mystic River, fantastic movie,
so good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you just said, the Wolf. I wanted to say for my coming back, Harvey Keitel, like in his prime.
Yeah.
I think I would have brought back. He's a little old now, but
he's also gonna be in The Irishman.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
That's gonna be fun.
It's a stack cast.
Okay, so
Absolutely.
yeah, I have a list of 13 people here,
Woo!
and if you guys pick any of them, I'm just gonna take them off my list just for the
Yeah.
sake of making it interesting. So, I have 13 here, and of that, 9 of them are bolded. Those are like, okay, I gotta pick these if I can. You took Adam Driver, Mads Mikkelsen was an honorable mention, but I'll put those 2 there as well. I would love to see them. For my number 5 pick, I'm gonna go with a man that I haven't seen in a while. I'm going to go with Michael C. Hall, Dexter himself.
For some reason, I thought you said Michael Cera. I was like, what?
Let's do it.
That'd be cool.
Michael C. Hall, I know.
That'd be in.
Oof, that's a great one, yeah.
Bring him and Jonah Hill back. There you go. Then you get like the super bad. Yeah.
Maybe Walton Goggott's friends.
Yeah, exactly.
Get in Channing
Steve
Tatum
Buscemi
for
as his
21
dad.
Jump Street, yeah.
Michael C. Hall obviously played Dexter, which is one of my favorite shows, bar the last couple of seasons or so. But obviously that kind of character, like, the dynamic that he has in that show would like fit just perfectly into a Tarantino movie. He's so talented, and I've really only I haven't seen him in much of that. And then
You gotta watch 6 Feet Under over there.
What was
I got the whole box set.
yeah, I really should. And
Game Night.
It was in Game Night. Yeah, he
was
just
the
showed.
villain.
He's essentially like a cameo almost,
Yeah.
but he's still so much fun. And I realized that like even if he had a very small role in a Tarantino movie, I'd still just love to see it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think even if he was given a media role protagonist, who knows? I think he could definitely nail it.
I could definitely see him.
I'd love to see
in
it.
a
He's
Tarantino
very
movie.
underrated at comedy too. They have, like Dexter has dry humor, like Game Night, but then 6 Feet Under that's more comedic.
Mhm.
Like he is a very comedic guy. Right now he's just been doing Broadway plays
yeah.
and stuff. So I would love to see him. Same thing, just break out again. I want him or I want Feige, someone to adopt Michael C. Hall and I just feel
Adopt
like
him.
that Dexter last season just like. It didn't ruin his career, but it sure put a sour taste in people's mouth. And I think everyone just jumps that right away. So we need something.
Yeah.
He needs just a role, and I would
Yeah.
love to. I
Mhm.
think he would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Funny you say he's doing a lot of Broadway because I feel like a lot of Tarantino's movies kind of feel play-like. So I
Mhm.
feel like
Yeah.
I could definitely picture it. That's a
would
really
fit.
good pick. I like that one. My next one, I'm just gonna throw him out. Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
You know, just
Hashtag save Hannibal.
hashtag save Hannibal. You know, the man, the myth, the legend. Can't wait to see him Death Stranding. I absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's a man crush worthy. I don't really flaunt my man crush list. I don't
Mhm.
really I don't know, think about it too much. But this guy, he just kind of squeezed himself in there. I think it's mostly due to Hannibal. I just
That you still haven't finished.
that I still haven't finished.
You
Thanks
need
for
to.
reminding
The
everyone,
finale is so
including me.
good,
I thought I
Kurt.
did finish it. So
No, you
I'm
haven't.
glad you reminded me.
I take
So,
it. You and Jessica.
He knows your life better than you do, Kurt.
yeah, but no, he's such
Pay your
a.
rent tomorrow. Pay your rent.
Oh shit! August 1st? Oh no!
Dickovich, please.
But
Man. Yeah, that's mine ever. Toby, him and Toby.
oh
Yeah,
man,
bring Toby into this.
Oh,
Toby could not handle a Tarantino movie.
I'd like to see him try and just like cry visibly on set.
He should play. I would like him
It's
in
like fake crying.
I'd like him in a role like the drug dealer in Pulp Fiction, like something minor, like where he's in a big scene, but not too much.
Or what
on
if the
Toby.
movie takes place during the filming of Spider-Man 1?
Spider-Man 3 actually?
You'd want that instead?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Because you just have Tarantino or Toby act like Leo in this movie, like be mad, like what's happening in this movie? They're making me dance and all this.
Get
stuff.
your rent here.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm kind of noticing a trend among my list. It's mostly just middle-aged men. So
Nice.
that's another one. Mads
Yeah, I know.
Mikkelsen.
I try to get
Love
some
him.
ways in there, but I'm sorry. I put him in the returning.
Tarantino mostly works with male actors, right? That's like 90% of his movies. There's like one female in there. It's like
Mhm.
they're
Yeah.
spice
I
it
should've-
up, you know.
I should have thrown Zoe Bell as my returning. She's so great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I honestly,
She's like she's reached like Sam Jackson territory at this point. She's been in so many. It's
I
like
won't go that
I don't think I need to
far.
pick her. She honestly has like she doesn't have a big role, but she's been in as many movies as him, hasn't she?
Yeah. that phrasing's a bit better.
But I also mean like in the last ones also in a row, right?
Yeah.
She's been in more than him actually, if you think about it. I mean, if you count
think
Kill
they're
Bill,
almost tied.
do you count Kill Bill as her being
No.
a?
That's a stunt person.
But she's still in the movie.
I don't. But you asked me if I counted my criteria.
She's in the
no.
credits.
Yeah.
Do you count Sam Jackson in Inglourious Bastards?
Yeah, he's the narrator.
So I would count
That's
her
a
then
character.
because she's physically on screen. He's never physically on screen.
We never see her face.
I think I'm leaning on Dylan's side here.
That's good. But he asked. It wasn't a competition. He just asked me what I
It
thought.
was a competition.
Are you done over there?
It's your pick.
I'm done. It's all you.
Let's see. And yeah, for females, I could have went Mackenzie Davis, but I literally say
She's
her
also on my list.
every single draft and whatnot. So I just feel bad for people like, oh my god, get over
Get
Mackenzie
a room.
Davis. So you know what? Here's someone with good, quick dialogue. It might not work out because because like he was supposed to be in Gravity and apparently it didn't work out. But you know what? He's no longer Iron Man, and I think Tarantino and Downey could have a really fun relationship. You know, and I don't even know.
I've heard he goes off the script a lot. That's why I don't think it works.
And Tarantino doesn't like that, so that's why I don't know where it would come from. So, but it's just he is a master of dialogue, and I just think I would love to see him. If you've seen Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, it's kind of similar in Tarantino vein. So this is my least likely pick of happening, but I would just personally like to see it, and I'd also like to see it because Downey just put out the statement about like I'm more than Iron Man, blah blah blah. Like I think if you want to get a different performance out of Downey, make him not feel like Tony Stark, QT is the guy to do it. So I'd like to see it would happen. Probably not, but that's why it's the dream roster, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So and same thing, maybe put him in a role similar to the Wolf or a Marcellus Wallace, something small. Yeah, not Marcellus Wallace, but something of smaller vein in that route. So
Nice.
yeah, that one was tough. But I just thought I'd throw in something spicy, something unique in there.
That is spicy.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go with something that's maybe not as unexpected, but something that is just as deserved and something I'd love to see. I'm going with John Bernthal, the Punisher himself.
I thought about that.
You know,
like
John Bernthal in obviously as playing the Punisher, his role in Wolf of Wall Street, his role in Baby Driver, his role in Wind River, like he's played so many characters that could so easily work in a Tarantino movie, just like a badass, you know, someone who's just like a hitman or something. Like he could play so many characters like that, but I think in Punisher you also get to see how good he is at the emotional beats as well. It's the looks he does with the eye, like he moves his body around, like all the little things. Like he is an amazing actor, and I think he would just fit so perfectly in a Tarantino thing. I would love to see that.
I like that pick a lot because just how you mentioned, like he's really good at just acting like physically, not necessarily just like with his voice, but like that physical. And I feel like a lot of Tarantino movies, like the things that I kind of like take from like the big actor roles is they're really good at doing like that body language acting. Like it's just so good, and I feel like that's a really good pick. So I like that one a lot.
Thank you.
Alrighty, my next one. I'm gonna go with the big boy himself, Javier Bardem.
That's my next one.
Yeah,
so you can just talk about
perfect.
it.
I feel like this guy. I don't know why he hasn't been in a Tarantino movie yet.
Yeah, he's a weird guy. He won't be in Tarantino, won't be in Marvel, but he's in fucking Pirates 5. So I don't know what's going on with him sometimes.
He is an interesting guy, but he's such a great actor. I feel like he could be such a good like Tarantino villain. I mean,
he could be anything.
He could be anything,
voice
absolutely.
Crack. He could be a voice crack. Yeah.
He could be a voice.
He could be
Yeah.
the human personification of a voice crack. And he's
it's definitely like the one role that stood out for me was No Country for Old Men. I think it just singed that character and that bowl cut or whatever the hell his hair was in my mind. Like it just stuck with me, and I feel like a lot of Tarantino characters do that. Like they have that effect where they really sit with you, and like I don't know, you don't just see them as the actor playing that role. It's just like that's that character. And I feel like just from No Country for Old Men, like he definitely had that effect on me. And then going to like Bond, like Skyfall, he's so good in that movie. And then you give some amazing like Tarantino dialogue in there. I feel like he could just be such a good fitting in whatever scene they want to throw him in there. So I really want to see him in the next Tarantino movie.
Yeah, the sexy Spanish heartthrob makes any movie better, even Pirates 5, as bad as that movie is. But
he was pretty good in it. He's
all right, yeah. But I just want more of him, and I think he would also end up being a kooky character because he's played some kooky stuff before. But yeah, Javier all the way. So I would agree on that pick.
Good pick, boys. Where am I going to go? I got 3 more, right? That's correct.
This is your third. Yep. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go with a little bit more of an underdog pick, someone who I would love to see in just some bigger roles. I'm going to go with Joel Edgerton.
Yeah, good one. I didn't even think about that.
First, really kind of became on my radar because of The Gift, which he also wrote, or did he?
Yeah, all 3.
As well as acting in it, and then even a smaller role in It Comes at Night, I think the movie's called, where it's definitely not on the tier of The Gift, but I think it shows that he's really great, and it shows that he has dimension. He's an actor that I really have only seen in those 2 movies, and obviously he's like in the fucking prequels in like one scene or something, and like I've probably seen him a couple other spots, but he's just such a good actor, and I think he's just very creative, as we saw with The Gift, and that almost feels like it could take place in a Tarantino sort of world almost. At least the events of it. So yeah, he's an actor I'd like to see just really get a chance to shine on the big screen like that, and I think being in a Tarantino movie would be a perfect opportunity to have a role like that.
Yeah, big shout out. Not enough people saw Boy Erased. It's the last film he directed. Well, his second film he directed. It's about a child being sent to gay conversion camp, and it is, because I think it's a touchy subject. He's only a small role. He's like the counselor, so he's like a shady guy, but really, really damn good movie. And you did see him in another thing in Black Mass. He was Johnny Depp's brother in the movie we saw a long time ago.
Right.
But yeah, he was
yeah,
like the
I remember when
I have
you
to
guys
say that
went and
movie's
saw
not
that.
terribly memorable.
yeah, but he was in that. But yeah, he is just another phenomenal actor. So good pick. I didn't even think about Joel.
Alrighty.
We never do, unfortunately. That's the thing. Right? He hasn't quite reached that tier where
No, and I
when
don't
it
think
comes
he-
to the fan casts, we kind of forget about him sometimes.
I don't think he will, just because he's just dabbling his toes in directing, so you feel like he's not going to want to tie himself down to anything right now. But same thing. He just makes anything better. He's a very versatile guy.
Cool.
Your penultimate pick.
My penultimate pick.
Underline
Number 4.
Ultimate pen.
Which one do I want to say first? I think I'm gonna throw out Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy.
I really like this character. He's his character. I don't know why I said that. I really like that actor. He is a character.
He's a character.
And I feel like anything I see him in, I just like him. I didn't know he played Bane till like after I saw the movie, so I thought it was kind of weird that he was in that role. He looks fucking jacked in it. So shouts out to Tom Hardy. And I don't know, he's just one of those actors that for some reason I have an appealing to. Definitely on the man crush list. I think he's great. Can't wait to see him in Venom 2. That's definitely a touchy subject for Travis.
Making that money. I respect it.
Yeah, but no, I feel like he would just be a really fun, even if he is a kind of a minor role in a Tarantino movie, I feel like he would just kill it because he's just such a good actor. And it's my number. My penultimate pick.
Yeah, that's a great pick. I didn't think about it, but that's another one. This is a big fan favorite for me. The guy that I believe is the greatest actor of the 2000s. That is Christian George Harloff Bale. I don't know if that's his middle name, but I just did it. Christian Bale is just a gift to all mankind as far as the acting world. This guy is a chameleon. We were joking about Chris Hemsworth the other day, how he went the fat suit. This is a guy that's gone down to weigh like 110 pounds to bulk up to Batman to put on fat weight. He's the guy that, like, I just feel like Tarantino, if you listen to stuff he talked about in Inglourious Basterds, where the actor played Hitler, he would approach him like Hitler and talk to, like, oh, the fear, and he, like, everything like that. If he wants someone that's going to commit, Bale's the type of guy commits. Like, look at what he just did with Vice. And, I don't know. There's part of me that thinks it would never happen because I feel like their personalities would clash quite a bit, and I don't even know why. It's just a guess, but he is just, I think he is. I honestly do, if you ask me, gun to my head, who I think the greatest actor of all time, it's bold, but I say Christian Bale. There's nobody that is different than him. There's nobody that has been as consistent. If you look at 2000 when he broke with American Psycho, and then you go to Vice, you look at all the performances
I feel like that humor of American Psycho as well would fit.
Oh, yeah. So just make him be Patrick Bateman in a Tarantino movie. But you look at his roles like that, Batman, Vice, American Hustle, The Fighter, The Machinist, everything. Maybe take out Terminator Salvation, but other than that, he is just the definition of chameleon. He never feels like the same guy, and I just think Tarantino would love that. And I think if they were to work together, I think that's like a guaranteed Oscar for Christian Bale, and I would love to see those two. So Christian Bale is I left him. He's my penultimate because I got a classic actor last, but Christian Bale is my number one draft pick. Maybe next to Adam Driver, who I'd want to see because he's just my favorite actor of all time. I think he is he's the GOAT. So yeah,
absolutely,
he's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Oh man, I got 2 more picks here, and this is.
Do you got an honorable mention of Rami Malek?
I did think about him, but I didn't
out.
quite put him on my list.
Yeah, I'll shout him out. You know,
great actor
playing Freddie Mercury with Christian Bale's Patrick Bateman.
Okay, I'm gonna my next 2 are kind of a pair, and I'll explain why in a minute, I guess. But I'm just gonna go with one for now. I'm gonna go with Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges is great. I think the reason he came to my mind is 2 reasons, and that's 2 other movies. One, Bad Times at the El Royale, which came out last year, which, as we talked about in the review, is a very Tarantino kind of movie. And then also, as I mentioned earlier on this cast, Big Lebowski, which is, to me, just has that perfect dialogue, and he nailed it perfectly. There's really realistic characters, really realistic dialogue. So I think he would fit, because of those 2 movies in particular, he would just fit perfectly into this world of characters, and I think he could be like a variety of characters, whether it's a good or a bad guy, or just like an earnest, chill guy, like the dude, whatever it is. I'd be down for it. Even though he's a little bit older now, I think it just showed in Bad Times at El Royale that he's still like so good. So yeah, number two, Bridges.
Final pick.
My final pick. This one, I kind of flipped a coin. I thought this pick would be Travis's number one pick, so I was hoping on it, but I was obviously wrong. Christian Bale is my number one pick. I absolutely agree with you. I think he is probably the greatest actor of all time. Everything that I've ever seen him in, I've just loved him in it. Like The Prestige is one of my favorite movies.
I so hope we do Nolan next year. That is such an underrated movie.
Yeah, that pairing of him and Nolan are so good, and I feel like him and Tarantino would be just as good, because exactly like what you just said. I don't want to rehash it, but it's just he's a chameleon. Like he just varies so much in all of his different roles. Like what was the one? Is it The Machinist? Is that
where he's
like scrawny in that one.
For 3 months, all he ate for a day was one apple and one can of tuna to lose all that weight. That's all he ate, and then he just bones in there. So and then
crazy
right after that, he
seeing
did
that.
Batman, and he had to bulk up and get all
he's
this
huge in Batman. Yeah. No, he's such a phenomenal actor, and I love him in like everything I see him in. Like he's just so great. But yeah, so that's my number one.
My number one is a nostalgia pick. This is a man that makes any movie better. This is a man that has my heart. This is a man that I'm going to love till the day I die. This is a man that when he passes away, I'm going to be crushed, because he is the one, the only, the irreplaceable Jack Nicholson. I love Jack Nicholson. He just brightens up the room. Have I met him? No, but anytime he walks on the screen on my TV, it's great. Whether he's playing kind of a doting father, whether he's playing like a womanizer and as good as it gets, or he's playing just a psychotic character in The Shining. He's another guy that can do it all, and he's kind of fell into, he plays like a lot of I'm Jack Nicholson, but that's kind of what you want sometimes, but when he wants to be great, he can be great. The likelihood of this happening is probably very little, because he's not retired, but he has stopped because he's admitted that he has trouble remembering lines. He's older guy. He's like in his like mid 70s or whatnot. But I would like it in a role what Pacino had in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I know that Jack Nicholson's not going to be the main star of this film, but just give him a nice scene, because Pacino, it's one scene, but it's fun where he's having this dialogue with Rick Dalton. And the one thing is, it's a fun scene, but it's also important for that character, Rick Dalton, because it sets him on this course of him kind of putting in his mind, like, you're kind of a has-been, you're nobody. I'd love Jack Nicholson just get something like that. And, The Bucket List is a nice movie, but I'd love him to have some bigger send-off. But, Jack Nicholson, he's just a guy I've been in love with forever. And, and Hollywood classic actors. Tarantino likes Bruce Stern. Pacino was the first time he worked with them. That would be one he'd have to jump off the list. Maybe a De Niro too, but Jack Nicholson just has a special place in my heart. So
he's 82.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's definitely up there.
It is.
Now that, because if you guys are going to pick something, I didn't want to mention them, so I was trying to keep some extras on my list. But I'm going to say my honorable mentions now. Just quickly, Chris Hemsworth, Willem Dafoe, Viggo Mortensen, Emma Stone, and Mahershala Ali.
Oh, Mahershala.
That was a tricky thing. He was like in the last three.
Ooh,
the reason he gets picked is because these last two are a pair, and here's why. It's John Goodman, Goodman, Jeff Bridges. We have, we're bringing back Steve Buscemi. I'm getting the three boys from Big Lebowski.
Walton Goggins.
Honestly, bring back, they can reprise their characters. Let's make this Big Lebowski 2. I don't fucking care.
Directed by Tarantino.
Coen Brothers are pissed.
But John Goodman is just a fantastic actor. In Cloverfield Lane, he's like this terrifying, almost like psychopath guy that he can also just be like the earnest. He's like the voice of Sully, he's just like this warm, fuzzy feeling inside you. So he's such a dynamic. And then in Big Lebowski, he's like definitely an asshole, but at the same time you feel for him, and he's got that charisma. So
yeah,
he's such a good actor, and I would love to see those three in particular back. Would be so much fun together.
I feel like John Goodman's pretty interesting, because although every time you see him you're like, oh, that's John Goodman, and he has that just iconic voice, but at the same time he has such a range of roles. I don't know, I remember him in the Roseanne show way back in the day, and then you got Sully from Monsters Inc. and then obviously Cloverfield Lane, and then just he's such a I like that pick a lot. I feel like he'd be a really good pairing with Tarantino.
Yeah, I think so too. I'd love to see him. I'd love to see those three. Either way, I'm down. But yeah, so many. I think just realize how many people haven't worked with him. Right, he's only done. I mean, 10 movies is a lot of movies, but at the same time, it's not a lot of movies.
No.
I just want all these people to be in his movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they all can't be. But I'm happy with that list personally.
Yeah. Me too.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun.
That was fun.
Tarantino, man.
Yep.
It's all but over.
Closing the book, or closing the chapter on another book. Another
We reached the
retro.
last page of the script, I guess.
Yeah, until another Tarantino movie comes out down the line. But until now, until then, it's done. So
Yeah.
it's a fun ride.
It was a really fun
Thank
ride.
you, gentlemen, for joining.
It was.
Thanks,
Yes.
Briggs, for being on a
Yes.
few of those.
Shout out
So-
to you guys for doing 2 retros back to back, which
Yes.
is not
Oh,
easy.
yeah. It's definitely
Definitely not.
taxing. And now I get to go right back into Clone Wars. I'm just
You don't
the
have
best
to do that.
podcast machine. That's what I am. So
Yeah, you are.
if you want to go back to all our episodes, whether it's these retros, whether it's Marvel retro, DC retro, X-Men
Yeah.
retro, Saw retro, Batman retro, we got
We've
tons
done
of stuff.
We've done a lot, haven't we?
Yeah, there's just tons of content. You just want to subscribe for the video and audio feeds. All the description are down below.
Yeah.
So thank you to everyone that tuned in to our Once Upon a Time Hollywood review and the retrospective. And until next time,
Is
Is Vita Zane.
Let's go, Kirkland.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. I was ready. It only took what was that? 10 episodes? 11 episodes?
Yeah.